Bonjour et bienvenue pour cinquième session CAICONCIT, ça c'est 12e parlement ici Sainte-Lucie avec non moi c'est Michael Gasper et puis Lucia et puis
Virtually Auntie, welcome all.
Et aujourd'hui nous allons présenter exactement ce qui a passé ici en CAICONCIT pour aujourd'hui jeudi qui un jour qui pas tellement c'est pas souvent qu'à CAICONCIT jeudi me pas savoir qui raison pour ça peut-être c'est puisque session pas de certaine mardi pour l'appétit cette visite ça c'est président Nigerian Monsieur Excellence Bola Ahmed Tinubu qui ici a quitté le pays demain vendredi. Quand même session aujourd'hui c'est il y a plusieurs différentes activités. Comme la coutume, il y a un statement par Parlement, peut-être speaker qui a fait petit annoncement, avec nous avons utiliser plus à ce qui a passé, mais avant je vais dire pour dire en anglais exactement ce qui a gagné. Il y a 4 à 6 différents morceaux de loi, nous avons amendement, banking, c'est les affaires banque, système paiement, ex-service. CARICOM, ça c'est un agrément CARICOM, on a créé Arrest Warranty Administration, petit business, ça c'est Small Successions Amendment, immigration et puis passeport, et mais avant ça aussi, là il y a 3 motions, particulièrement à ce VAT. On dire?
Yes, Michael. As you said, the order paper today reads with several papers to be laid. There are 3 motions which will be tabled. One motion would be tabled by the Minister for Finance, the Prime Minister, and there are other motions deal with value-added tax. But we will be giving more information on this as we take a look of the proceedings which are about to commence.
Let us pray.
Almighty God, by whom alone kings reign and princes decree justice, and from whom alone cometh all counsel, wisdom and understanding, we thine unworthy servants here gathered together in thy name, do most humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us in all our consultations. And grant that we, having thy fear always before our eyes, and laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and partial affections, the result of all our counsel may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the king, the public weal, peace and tranquility of St. Lucia, and the uniting and knitting together of the hearts of all persons and estates within the same, in true Christian love and charity, one towards another, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Ghost be with us all evermore. Amen.
Good morning, honorable members. I have received correspondence from the member for ancillary canneries who has indicated his inability to be with us today. Statements by ministers. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it gives me great pleasure to formally inform this Honorable House that St. Lucia has been unanimously approved as a Series C shareholder in the Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean, CAF. This is not merely a bureaucratic milestone. It's a strategic achievement that ushers in a new era of development partnership for our country. CAF membership grants us access to critical concessional and non-concessional financing instruments, particularly in areas aligned with our national priorities, such as climate adaptation, infrastructure renewal, digitalization, and energy transition. Mr. Speaker, as a small island developing state, we are navigating a complex external environment marked by climate vulnerability, high borrowing costs, and narrow fiscal space. Membership in CAF broadens our financing architecture, complements our partnerships with institutions such as the World Bank and the Caribbean Development Bank, and brings us into closer alignment with regional, economic, and financial integration. I wish to express my thanks to the Member of Parliament for Ancillary Canaries and the Minister in the Ministry of Finance and the Cabinet for their leadership in this, for their leadership, and the technical teams at the Ministry of Finance, the Permanent Secretary, Director of Finance, and the staff who worked diligently behind the scenes to bring this to fruition. Let it be recorded, Mr. Speaker, that St. Lucia now sits at the table of a key hemispheric development institution, not as a bystander, but as a shareholder, ready to shape, partner, and build. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I think there are other ministerial statements.
Mr. Speaker.
You have a second ministerial statement,
yes, I have a statement. Mr. Speaker, permit me to make another brief statement regarding the visit of the Nigerian president and his delegation to our shores. I rise today to thank members of the House and the Senate and the people of St. Lucia for warmly welcoming President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the Republic of Nigeria. From all reports, our guests were very impressed with the hospitality and warm embrace of St. Lucians. This certainly augurs well for the deepening and strengthening of relations with Nigeria in the months and years ahead. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me if I did not condemn in the strongest terms the behavior of the opposition United Workers' Party and its surrogates during the President's visit. Let me assure you, Mr. Speaker, that the behavior displayed by the opposition was gross disrespect and the lack of understanding of diplomacy and the values that underpin our relations with friendly countries. As I speak, Mr. Speaker, leaders of major democratic countries are demonstrating their interest in Caribbean countries with which they have strong ancestral connections to foster greater economic and cultural ties with them. Following the Nigerian president's visit to St. Lucia, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is now preparing to host the visit of the Indian Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister Modi will also be honored with the country's highest award, Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Visits like these, Mr. Speaker, open the host countries and the wider Caribbean to greater economic opportunities for the people of the region. All well-meaning citizens interested in the advancement of the Caribbean region should therefore welcome these visits and the attendant benefits. Mr. Speaker, our efforts to strengthen economic, cultural, and diplomatic relations with African countries is timely, given the current realignment of relations among countries in the South, international trade and finance. Since the memorable visit of President Nelson Mandela in 1998, during St. Lucia's hosting of the 25th anniversary of the founding of CARICOM, we have only been able to establish diplomatic relations with 4 African countries. We need to do more, and this recent visit by President Tinubu may well be the catalyst for strengthening relations with the African continent and its people. Mr. Speaker, strengthening relations with the most populous African country, Nigeria, offers huge opportunities for local entrepreneurs in manufacturing, creative industries, finance, and tourism seeking to expand their businesses. In spite of our relatively small size, the relationship between St. Lucia and Nigeria can be mutually beneficial. We can be Nigeria's gateway to the wider OECS region and beyond. But this is an opportunity we need to create, rather to hope for. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report that even within this short visit, a number of memoranda of understanding have been established between our two countries, an indication of the enthusiasm for collaboration on areas of mutual interest. Mr. Speaker, allow me to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to you, Mr. Speaker, Madam President, and members and staff of the Parliament of St. Lucia for the excellent and professional arrangements at the special joint sitting of Parliament held on Monday, June 30th, 2025. The heads of government and members of delegation from the OECS who graced us with their presence in St. Lucia for the visit. The management and staff of Sanders Resort for hosting the session and some of our invited guests. The management staff of the various hotels where our guests were housed during the visit. The St. Lucia Police Force and the emergency services for the excellent security arrangements. The St. Lucia ANC Port Authority, the Permanent Secretary, the Chief Protocol Officer, and the staff of the Ministry of External Affairs for ensuring protocol arrangements were appropriate. The Director General and staff of the OECS and the permanent representative of UNESCO. Mr. Speaker, I invite this House once again to join me in expressing profound gratitude to the people of St. Lucia, the public service, and all involved in the preparations that made this presidential visit a success. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before I call on the member for Labrie, allow me to say a special welcome to the member for Vieux-Fort South and Deputy Speaker, who many of you would have been aware of, was involved in a minor motor vehicle accident. We are happy that he's here with us, and we appreciate the fact that you're safe and sound, member for Vieux-Fort South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have the unsurpassed glory to extend the Prime Minister's statement on the official visit to St. Lucia of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Commander of its Armed Forces, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He paid a historic visit to St. Lucia, given the importance of this diplomatic engagement for St. Lucia and the unfortunate misinformation and criticisms that have been leveled at it by spokespersons and surrogates for the members opposite. It is necessary that I deliver this statement to this Honorable House to clear up the falsehoods that are being perpetrated by those of a political conviction and persuasion very different to ours on this side of the House. Mr. Speaker, the visit of President Tinubu to St. Lucia is rooted in the progressive foreign policy that this government has been pursuing since it came into office in July 2021. In the manifesto of the St. Lucia Labour Party for the 2021 general elections, it was declared in the section on external relations on page 29, and I quote, "Recognizing the strength of strategic alliances with countries and regional and international organizations as an avenue for the advancement of our people's interests, a St. Lucia Labour Party will continue building on existing relations with foreign governments and organizations and seek to build new alliances, unquote. Mr. Speaker, it is in this context of building these new alliances that the visit of the Nigerian president must be seen. Our focus on building these new alliances could not be Eurocentric, but had to be with the hitherto untapped continents and lands of the South. South-South cooperation had to be the essential factor, and the continent of Africa, our motherland, had to be central to this policy. We make no apologies for that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the first, most concrete and tangible symbol of this was St. Lucia's rapprochement with Saudi Arabia, which led to the loan from the Saudi Development Fund on the 3rd of August 2023 for the completion of the St. Jude's Hospital project and rebuilding or refurbishing the National Stadium. On 8th August 2023, the Cabinet of Ministers considered and approved a memorandum from the Ministry of External Affairs, International Trade, Civil Aviation, and Diaspora Affairs to expand relations with the countries of the African continent. I repeat, Mr. Speaker, on the 8th of August 2023, the Cabinet of Ministers considered and approved a memorandum from the Ministry of External Affairs, International Trade, Civil Aviation, and Diaspora Affairs to expand relations with the countries of the African continent. The memo argued, and I quote, "Historical and current circumstances suggest that St. Lucia should do much more with those 9 African states which it currently had relations, and the African continent in general. Quite apart from the affinities of history and culture, which requires unequivocal identification and solidarity on the part of St. Lucia, there is the acknowledgement that the continent boasts the youngest demographic and some of the fastest growing economies in the world. And there is also recognition that the potential for economic benefit from a relationship with the continent is limitless. In respect of West Africa, the countries proposed for attention in the initial period are Nigeria and Ghana," unquote. The Cabinet of Ministers, in its conclusion, 605 of 14th of August 2023, 1. Endorsed the following proposed strategy and framework to guide St. Lucia's engagement with the African continent. Pursue a relationship with the African Union and on its own or as part of a regional endeavor. 2. Seek to consolidate and strengthen relations with African countries with which it had formal relations while pursuing and establishing relations with new ones. And 3. Work towards the formal establishment of diplomatic relations with all African states. Cabinet directed the Ministry of External Affairs, International Trade, Civil Aviation, and Diaspora Affairs to proceed with the implementation of the said strategy and allow for further discussion on the associated recommendations for engagement with the African continent, unquote. That was in August of 2023, Mr. Speaker. So this visit was not a product of spontaneous combustion. One early and noteworthy result of this new Africa outreach was that on the 14th of March, 2024, St. Lucia became the first Caribbean country to receive a loan from the Barbados base office of the African Export-Import Bank. This was a loan of $6 million to undertake repairs to schools damaged by Tropical Storm Brett. It is therefore not by some foolish or accident of history, some foolish quirk, that this government has sought to deepen relations with Nigeria through a visit by its head of state to St. Lucia. Such visits are standard tools of diplomacy. In the last 6 years, Barbados has entertained state visits from the President of Ghana in June of 2019, Kenya, August 2019, Republic of Rwanda, 2022, and the Republic of Senegal in 2024. And today, the 3rd of July, 2025, Trinidad and Tobago is welcoming the Prime Minister of India, the Honorable Narendra Modi, on a state visit. Nigeria was chosen as one of the countries for initial engagement with Africa because it has the largest population on the continent and one of its strongest economies. It was natural for St. Lucia to gravitate towards Nigeria because of the tremendous potential for meaningful and substantial cooperation between our two countries. The statement from His Excellency President Tinubu to the joint sitting of the Parliament of St. Lucia on Monday, 30th June, in which he offered cooperation and assistance to St. Lucia and OECS member states in a number of critical sectors, is sufficient testament to the soundness of this new foreign policy initiative by St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, it is a fitting response also to those who wondered about the purpose of the visit and those who doubted and expressed skepticism and scorn about whether St. Lucia would gain anything from it. Permit me, Mr. Speaker, to quote from the President's address. And I quote at this juncture, "I wish to express Nigeria's readiness to deepen cooperation with the OECS in areas of mutual interest, including trade, investment, health, culture, education, and climate resilience. Enhanced trade and investment between our regions hold great potential for shared prosperity. Nigeria's vast natural resources and its position as the largest market in Africa present significant opportunities for the OECS, both as a source of essential inputs and as a growing export destination. Together, we can leverage our respective strengths to attract investment, create jobs, and foster joint ventures that benefit both our peoples." Unquote. With the official visit from Nigerian President, St. Lucia and other OECS member states have laid the foundation for a fruitful relationship with the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And this relationship has already borne immediate results. An OECS Nigeria Joint Commission on Education has been established to arrange for St. Lucian and Eastern Caribbean students to receive scholarships to attend Nigerian universities in the forthcoming academic year. And the ministers of tourism of St. Lucia and Nigeria have already met to discuss areas of cooperation in that sector. But, Mr. Speaker, there is a deeper, more fundamental and philosophical reason for St. Lucia to have entertained a visit from the President of Nigeria. It is rooted in our history, in the story of how our forefathers and ancestors were transported in European slave ships from Africa, including the lands of Nigeria and other West African states to St. Lucia, and other Caribbean states to work on European plantations. The tragedy of the slavery of African people in the Western Hemisphere and our connections with Nigeria were eloquently captured by those who addressed the joint sitting of Parliament on Monday, the 30th of June, 2025. First, by Senate President Alvina Reynolds when she said, and I quote, "Today, your arrival in St. Lucia commences the rediscovery of the bonds between the people of St. Lucia and the people of Nigeria. Today, your visit reignites a mission to reunite us with our homeland and for our people to work together." Unquote. Secondly, in the words of Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Joseph Pierre, and I quote, "Our peoples have been separated, but nothing has ever been able to separate us spiritually and culturally from West Africa, where some of our ancestors came from and for whom our hearts continually yearn. We are African people who have made permanent homes for ourselves on this side of the Atlantic, on the hills and valleys of the plantations on which we were enslaved, and along the seashores, waterways that carried the slave ships which brought us here. We feel untold joy, honor, and pride that our two countries are taking this important step of reconnection at such an important moment in world history, and when the future role of Africa in the modern world can no longer be denied, unquote. Thirdly, by President Tinubu, quote, as one who feels a profound kinship with our shared African heritage, I am fully aware of the historical currents that have bound us together, currents shaped by the transatlantic slave trade and colonial subjugation, but out of which emerged a shared cultural identity, a resilience and a legacy of aspiration. My presence here today symbolizes Nigeria's renewed commitment to re-engage with these enduring ties. Recognizing the strategic and emotional significance, this occasion serves as a testament to the enduring ideals of Pan-Africanism and to the unyielding desire for unity and collaboration among peoples of African descent, unquote. Mr. Speaker, St. Lucia's Africa policy is therefore also founded on the objective of rekindling our cultural ties with our African motherland, of inculcating in our people a pride and respect for the lands of their ancestors, and of emancipating the minds from the colonial indoctrination that everything African is negative. It is this indoctrination which is behind some of the shameful and disrespectful comments which we have witnessed on social media and some traditional media talk shows with regard to the visit of President Tinubu to St. Lucia. It is our responsibility to lift our people from this ignorance and from the depths to which hateful, petty, and desperate opposition politics has plunged them. For you see, Mr. Speaker, unlike the leader of the opposition, we are not of the view that colonialism had a conscience. It certainly did not. As evidenced by what it did to Africa and our countries here in the Caribbean. Mr. Speaker, let me now turn my attention to the matter of the national honor bestowed upon the President of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, St. Lucia's highest honor of a knighthood. This government does not confer St. Lucia's national honors lightly, Mr. Speaker. We are not like the former Prime Minister and member for Miku South, leader of the opposition, who gave the former president of American Airlines, Peter Dolora, the St. Lucia Cross at a time when St. Lucia was paying American Airlines to come to St. Lucia. It is important for us all to recognize the value of diplomacy and expertise it requires, regardless of one's level of experience or background, especially those who claim to be modern-day diplomats. We should strive to approach discussions with professionalism and a shared commitment to constructive dialogue, fostering an environment where respect and understanding can flourish for the benefit of all. And for those who have protested strongly against this honoring knighthood for the president, even more vigorously than they did against his visit itself, let me inform them, Mr. Speaker, that the conferring of national honors to visiting foreign heads of state or government by a receiving country is again a standard and commonly utilized tool of diplomatic practice. It is done to enhance relations between the states, to underscore the close and friendly relations between countries, and to demonstrate the high regard in which the visiting head of state or government is held. For example, Mr. Speaker, in July 2023, the government of Venezuela, led by President Nicolas Maduro, bestowed upon the Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Mottley, during her first official visit to that country, the Order of the Liberators of Venezuela, which is the highest honor of Venezuela. According to the Barbados Foreign Ministry, the two countries were seeking to strengthen relations and increase cooperation. And as fate would have it, Mr. Speaker, today, Prime Minister Modi of India arrives in Trinidad and Tobago for a 2-day official visit. And during that period, he will be awarded the country's highest award, the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. The Trinidadian government has justified the award, saying that his visit would bring diverse benefits to Trinidad and Tobago, and that there is nothing preventing the government from conferring the highest award to Prime Minister Modi. It should be noted also that free order CARICOM countries have already bestowed Prime Minister Modi with the country's highest awards. These are Barbados, the Order of Freedom of Barbados, Dominica, Award of Honor, and Guyana, the Order of Excellence of Guyana. Let me also take this opportunity to point out that Trinidad and Tobago has closed all non-essential public services and schools early to facilitate Prime Minister Modi's visit and to minimize traffic congestion. Of even more relevance to St. Lucia is the fact that in 1973, 6 years before St. Lucia's independence, the then Premier of St. Lucia, Sir John Compton, was awarded the Francis de Miranda Award by Venezuelan Foreign Minister Dr. Aristide Calvani, and was later, as Prime Minister, bestowed the Simon Bolivar Award, the Order of the Liberators of Venezuela, by Venezuelan President Carlos Andrés Perez. Did the people of Venezuela ask what Sir John Compton had done for Venezuela? No, Mr. Speaker, because as in the case of Prime Minister Mia Mottley and others who have received such national awards from friendly governments, they know that this advances the cause of cooperation and friendship between countries. And today, the deep friendly relations between Venezuela and St. Lucia, which began with the national honors given to Sir John Compton, still exist, except for the brief period of folly of the Lima Group. And just as the Venezuelan national honors given to Sir John helped create the basis of Venezuela-St. Lucia cooperation, so the knighthood conferred upon President Tinubu will cement the commencement of harmonious and prosperous relations between Nigeria and St. Lucia. Hence, Mr. Speaker, those who should know better about diplomacy and international relations should not be hypocritical in the pronouncements about St. Lucia's current foreign policy actions. I call them hypocritical, Mr. Speaker, for good reason. These same people who have led the song and dance against our advances to Nigeria had themselves decided to establish diplomatic relations with Nigeria. Yes, Mr. Speaker, let me read to you a cabinet conclusion of the 3rd of June, 2019. Of 2019. Read it again. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, let me read to you a cabinet conclusion of 3rd of June, 2019. And I quote, Cabinet Conclusion 502 of 2019 states that Cabinet considered a memorandum dated 13th May 2019. The opposition occupied the corridors of power at the time, submitted by the Department of External Affairs and approved the request for the establishment of diplomatic relations with Nigeria, unquote. So the member for Miku South and his government decided 6 years ago to establish diplomatic relations with Nigeria. But today, they are trying to make the country believe that this administration's hosting of the Nigerian president is not in St. Lucia's interest, and it is a silly foreign policy decision. Ces hommes opposition, yo tout partout kon poule qui pon, ka di moun kon sa, dat se pate pièce kalte bon bagay pour embrasser Nigeria. Mais c'est yo même qui allé en haut cabinet yo, et puis décider pour établir relation diplomatique et puis Nigeria. Mais je dis à nous en pouvoir, président vini, tout partout, tout chaud ba yo. Mais yo prend bloc et yo kay prend pour toujours. Parce que yo ka dérespecter président, yo ka dérespecter moun qui ka visiter nous, ka kouye yo nou toute qualité non. Mais nous kay adresser ça à sous plateforme avec l'autre côté. But whilst they decided in the cabinet to recognize Nigeria, what is in fact indisputable is that although they decided on establishing diplomatic relations with Nigeria, they did nothing about it. Nothing came of it because of the incompetence. It took the wise diplomacy and leadership of Philip Joseph Pierre, Prime Minister and member for Kaswis East, to advance St. Lucia-Nigeria relations in the spectacular manner we observed this week with the highly successful official visit of President Tinubu. So as I prepare to take my brief statement to its logical conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I wish to say that a new era has begun in St. Lucia's relations with the countries of the African continent. And members opposite better get used to it. They better brace themselves, because we are going to continue to improve our relations with our motherland to ensure we create an improved framework for us to match our basic need with greater possibilities. St. Lucia's diplomacy is actively pursuing its goal of advancing the country's national interest through the forging of new alliances. And what better alliance to build than one with our long-lost brothers from Nigeria? Mr. Speaker, I thank you for granting me leave to make this brief statement.
Minister for Tourism.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today we table before this Honorable House the annual report of the Citizenship by Investment Program, CIP, for the period April 2023 to March 2024. According to legislation, this report should have been tabled by October 2024. A number of factors contributed to this delay, including the change in auditors and unprecedented increase in applications, which delayed the delivery of the report by the auditors, who had to go through a larger than expected sample of files for examination. Of course, Mr. Speaker, we also noted the intense attacks and accusations on the program and other programs in the region, which also came under intense scrutiny. The next report, Mr. Speaker, is due by October 2025, And Mr. Speaker, every effort is presently being made to deliver this report on time. The period under review can be categorized as the most transformative and efficient year in the short history of the St. Lucia Citizenship by Investment Program. Due to enhanced training and capacity building, the unit more than doubled its processing rate, and as a result experienced an almost 300% increase in the annual surplus. As promised to our local and overseas stakeholders, the unit is continually strengthening its processes to ensure we maintain the integrity of not just the program, but brand St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, I want this House to note that in September 2023, the unit became the first in the region to implement the applicant identity and verification interviews, along with financial screening by the Financial Intelligence Authority. These two additional layers of vetting never existed before we came into office, and further underpins St. Lucia's conformity to the best practices and confidence that every successful applicant is thoroughly screened and cleared by independent partners. So when you hear all the noise, Mr. Speaker, that St. Lucia is not doing proper due diligence, we not only have the most exhaustive due diligence process, but we have been able to add 2 layers to what we had previously. Mr. Speaker, in summary, during the period 1st April 2023 to 31st March 2024, the Citizenship by Investment Unit achieved the following: $179.6 million, or 296% increase in revenue, from $60.6 million in 2023 to $240.2 million in the year ending 2024. 294% increase in the annual operating surplus of the unit, from $22.8 million to $89.9 million. A $31.3 million of 83% increase, $31.3 million or 83% increase in net assets relative to 2023. 424% increase in applications received, from 1,076 to 5,642 received. A 127% increase in the total number of applications processed, from 550 to 1,249. I want to repeat this, Mr. Speaker. A 127% increase in the total number of applications processed, from 550 to 1,248. It should also be further highlighted that this increase was achieved despite the implementation of additional layers of due diligence checks. And you'd have heard a lot of talk, Mr. Speaker, from the opposition, from Mr. Martinez, that 40,000 applications were approved and how many tens of thousands of passports given. When you review the report, Mr. Speaker, 1,248 applications were processed, Mr. Speaker. Where is the 40,000 that they spoke about? 6, the implementation of all of the 6 principles as agreed to with the U.S. State Department. This is important to note as we maintain an excellent relationship with all our international partners, especially the United States. We will continue to work with our partners to ensure that their concerns are always considered and addressed in the best way possible. Notwithstanding the milestones, the unit experienced a few shortcomings, including 1, continued delays in the clearance of funds at the bank. The board and management of the unit continued to engage with its primary bank on ways to improve the efficiency in the process. This includes granting the bank user access to its application portal with the ability to review documents critical to their process. And 2, while the unit has become more efficient, bottlenecks still exist at various stages of the process. I can, however, assure our partners that the unit has further increased its efficiency and will achieve another 100% increase in its processing rate for the period ending March 31st, 2025. Mr. Speaker, despite my efforts and that of the CIP unit to clarify and enlighten the public on workings and processes of the Citizenship and Investment Program, the member for Miku South, the leader of the opposition, continues to mislead the St. Lucian public and indeed the world. There is a calculated effort to distribute and circulate fabricated information about myself, the government, and indeed St. Lucia and its people, with no regard for the reputation and injury to the country and its people. He just does not seem to care about the people and indeed St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, under our government, we have sought to strengthen our CIP program and bring about greater transparency, integrity, and confidence in the program. We have implemented systems and processes as advised by the US government. We have brought in the Financial Intelligence Authority to carry out further due diligence and have employed numerous other mechanisms to build redundancy in the program. Yet despite all of this, the leader of the opposition continues to proclaim to the world and to all in St. Lucia that there is corruption in the CIP and that no due diligence is being done. The truth is, we have strengthened the very program he systematically undermined during his tenure as Prime Minister. We must not forget who amended the legislation to reduce the investment levels, who removed the annual quota, who eliminated the net worth requirement for all applicants, who allowed escrow accounts to be located outside St. Lucia, and who introduced the payment of commissions. Every action to undermine the program was done by the honorable member. In contrast, we have taken deliberate steps to reinforce the program. And as I mentioned previously, we will be taking additional steps with some amendments to the legislation which will be presented to Parliament shortly. We must always remember the saying that says, evil thinks what evil does. Everything that the honorable member accuses others of doing is often a reflection of what he has done or contemplated doing himself. Mr. Speaker, there are times when I am genuinely concerned about the leader of the opposition's grasp on reality. One cannot be so blatantly dishonest about the processes and decisions that he created and signed off on. Take, for example, the repeated slogans by the leader of the opposition and the UWP. Where the money gone? He let thief over $1.5 billion. Galaxy, Galaxy, Galaxy. He demands that I table the Galaxy contract. Well, he was the Prime Minister. He has a copy of the Galaxy contract that he signed, so he can table it. And while he is at it, he should also table the escrow account, the escrow agreement that was signed with Galaxy. That's the document that tells where the money is. Mr. Speaker, you see, the leader of the opposition is fully aware of how the CIPs across the regions are structured. He knows that developers are allowed a number of shares which are then purchased by applicants, which qualifies them for citizenship. The applicant pays to the developer for the share and pays to the government the associated fees. He knows because he signed an agreement with the developer and authorized the developer to use that money for construction and all associated services to market and payments of commissions as necessary. Moreover, he agreed in that agreement to have an escrow account established to receive those funds. But, Mr. Speaker, the leader of the opposition went even further and changed the law of St. Lucia so that the escrow account can be established overseas. Yes, he changed the law, Mr. Speaker. Now he's shouting from the rooftops, where the money gone? Where the money gone? Well, Mr. Speaker, the money went exactly where he contracted it to go. The money went exactly where he contracted it to go. He should table the escrow agreement that was signed when he was Prime Minister. What the leader of the opposition should now do is to explain to the people of St. Lucia the details of the escrow agreement which was signed when you was Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I know I am constrained by a pending legal matter, so I will stop here, but trust me, I will say more when this matter is resolved before the courts. Mr. Speaker, I have read and heard some of our people argue that it could never be the case that the investment or proceeds from the sale of shares was intended to go to the developer. Unlike the leader of the opposition, who seems to live and breathe in misleading the nation, I will state clearly that this is indeed how all real estate options for CIP, CBI programs work in the Caribbean, and indeed countries with citizenship programs. The process is for funds to go to the developer, who is to utilize those funds to carry out the development and take care of all associated costs. The idea is that the country would benefit from the government fees, benefit from job creation both during construction and operation of the hotels, have a physical asset that cannot be taken away from the country, and provide the most needed hotel rooms. Mr. Speaker, the government's obligation is to see to it that the development is being carried out as set out in the contract to bring about what was envisaged. And it is that escrow agreement and the contract that is important. Presently, Invest St. Lucia is charged with that responsibility and has been working assiduously to facilitate the development. Mr. Speaker, I must be honest in stating that we are not satisfied with the pace of construction and the persistent delays in completing the project. While we acknowledge that there have been significant increases in the construction costs and changes to the scope of the project, including the addition of more rooms and revised facilities at the request of the hotel operators, it has admittedly been a source of frustration. Nevertheless, we remain committed to working closely with the developer to bring the project to completion and ensure that it delivers the benefits intended for the people of St. Lucia. The CIP board has engaged a quantity surveyor who is assessing the development and will be on site to work closely with the developer to ensure the project is completed. Mr. Speaker, there is talk of a Chinese due diligence company being utilized by the CIP unit. A Chinese due diligence company. It is shameless on the part of the leader of the opposition, who would not put up his hands to say to the people that it was under his watch that the Chinese due diligence company was contracted with his blessings. Mr. Speaker, when we came into office and whilst carrying out a soft audit of the CIP unit, we indeed found out that the leader of the opposition, the then minister responsible for CIP, had agreed to a Chinese due diligence company. Yes, he did. But today wants to point all 10 of his fingers at us. Mr. Speaker, you'll be pleased to learn that shortly after finding out that a Chinese due diligence company was contracted, we ended the contract in October 2021. Yes, in 2021. Mr. Speaker, I would love to say much more, but as I have stated earlier, and Parliament is well aware, there is a matter before the courts by the leader of the opposition for an injunction or to stop the CIP program and to deprive our people of much-needed funds to pay for healthcare, security, roads, and other infrastructure. But mind you, he only wants a temporary stop until he hopes to become Prime Minister again. But why would he want to stop the program? It is simple, Mr. Speaker. He does not want the government to have access to any resources that will assist it in meeting its mandate given to the people of St. Lucia. He would rather burn down the country, if it gives him a chance to become Prime Minister again. Mr. Speaker, I can assure this Honorable House that we will put in a robust defense and do what we have to do to save the integrity of our CIP and the reputation of our beloved St. Lucia and its people. As this is our home. We came from St. Lucia. We are St. Lucians. And we should be able to raise our heads high, as we have always done, as there is no place like home. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Papers to be laid, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance economic development, youth economy, justice, and national security.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers standing in my name. Starting instrument number 93 of 2025, Alien Land Holding Licenses Exemption, Charmin, Anesha, Penister, Prosper, order. Starting instrument number 94 of 2025, Alien Land Holding License Exemption, Kimberly K. Williams, order. Starting instrument number 98 of 2025, Waste Management Environmental Levy, order. Starting instrument number 99 of 2025, Legal Profession Eligibility, Naklia Chanel Donnet Quintin, order. Starting instrument number 101 of 2025, Excise Tax Amendment Schedule 1, number 9, order. St. Lucia Development Bank Annual Report 2019. St. Lucia Development Bank Annual Report 2020.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Tourism, Investment, Creative Industries, Culture and Information.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to lay the following papers in my name. Statutory Instrument number 96 of 2025, Tourism Development, SC Adventures, order. Statutory Instrument number 97 of 2025, Tourism Development, East Winds Resort Limited, order. Statutory Instrument number 100 of 2025, Tourism Development, Lux Getaway, order. Citizenship by Investment, Annual Report 2023-2024.
Minister for Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Cooperatives, and Consumer Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers appearing in my name. Statutory Instrument number 95 of 2025, Regulated Substances, Declaration of Regulated Substances, order. Statutory Instrument number 102 of 2025, Price Control Amendment number 9, order.
Senior Minister and Minister for Infrastructure,
Mr.
Ports,
Speaker,
Transport, Physical Development, and Urban Renewal.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers standing in my name. Statutory Instrument number 103 of 2025, Telecommunications, Land Mobile Radio, Fees, Exemption, Ministry of External Affairs, International Trade, Civil Aviation and Diaspora Affairs, order. The St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority Annual Report 2022 to 2023.
Motions, Minister for Finance.
Whereas under section 109(1)(e) of the value added tax, cap 15.42, the Act, it is provided that the Minister of Finance, by order published in the Gazette, amend the schedules to the Act. And whereas it is further provided under section 109(2) of the Act, that an order made pursuant to section 109(1) of the Act is subject to an affirmative resolution of Parliament, except where the amendment is in the customs tariffs headings only. And whereas the Minister of Finance seeks approval of the draft value-added tax amendment of Schedule 3, Number 2 order to amend Section 3 of the Act by an affirmative resolution of Parliament to include as an exempt import the import of 2 vehicles by the MV Logos Hope for the period commencing from the 16th day of June 2025 and terminating on the 2nd day of July 2025. Be it resolved that the Parliament, by affirmative resolution, approves the draft value-added tax amendment of Schedule 3, Number 2 order, which amends Schedule 3 of the Act to include as an exempt import the import of 2 vehicles by the MV Logos Hope for the period commencing 16th day of June 2025 and terminating on the 2nd day of July 2025. Mr. Speaker, the purpose of this order is to amend Schedule 3 of the value-added tax for exemption of VAT for 2 vehicles imported by Logos Hope, which will be used in St. Lucia, and the vehicles will be returned when the visit of the Logos Hope has ended, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Logos Hope is the world's largest floating book fair and offers a vast selection of books, including education and recreation material, Mr. Speaker. Its primary objective is to share knowledge, help and hope with people in port communities worldwide. Through community outreach, crew members partner and collaborate with local organizations to address specific needs within the port communities visited. The ship, Mr. Speaker, was docked in Port Castries from June 17th and is scheduled to leave on July the 2nd. They have held cultural fairs and Christian conferences, Mr. Speaker, during the visit. And Mr. Speaker, it's very important that we encourage visits, or we encourage reading, Mr. Speaker, because reading, the public of St. Lucia have access to books and reading, so they can effectively handle and deal with some of the misinformation that seems to be spread in the country every day. So I want to urge people to, if they haven't visited, I think the Logos will have ended today. So those who have not visited, I urge them the next time the book fair comes to Lucia, they should read, because it's very important, Mr. Speaker. We read so we can fact check and know what's true and what's not true. I urge members, Mr. Speaker, to assist, to support this resolution.
Honourable members, the question is that Parliament, by affirmative resolution, approves the draft value-added tax amendment of Schedule 3, Number 2, order, which amends Schedule 3 of the Act to include as an exempt import the importation of 2 vehicles by the MV Logos Hope for the period commencing from the 16th day of June 2025 and terminating on the 2nd day of July 2025. I now put the question. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Minister for Finance.
Whereas by Section 103, by Section 10.3 of the revised laws of St. Lucia, Act Cap 1.07, it is provided that the Attorney General may, by order published in the Gazette, declare that a revised edition of the laws of St. Lucia specified in the order shall come into force on such date as may be appointed by the order. And whereas, by Section 10.4 of the revised edition of the laws, Act Cap 1.07, it is provided that an order in respect of a complete revised edition of the laws shall not be made until after the passing of a resolution of Parliament authorizing the making of such an order. And whereas, by Section 13.5 of the revised edition of the laws, Act Cap 1.07, it is provided that a replacement, insertion, deletion, or amendment pursuant to that section shall have no effect unless made under and in accordance with the order of the Attorney General under Section 10.3. And whereas it is further provided by Section 13.6 of the revised edition of the laws, Act Cap 1.07, that a revised edition in whatever format marked with the latest revision date is deemed to be the authoritative revised edition of the laws to which Section 10.4 applies. Be it resolved that Parliament do authorize the Attorney General to make an order to declare that the 2023 supplement of the revised edition of the laws as specified in the order shall come into force on such date as may be appointed by such order as an authoritative version of the law. Mr. Speaker, the resolution is to authorize the Attorney General to make an order for the 2023 supplement to the revised edition of the laws. The resolution is required, Mr. Speaker, on the revised edition of the Laws Act, Cap 1.07, as the Act makes provision for the revision and consolidation of the laws of St. Lucia and the preparation and publication of revised editions of the laws in various formats. Mr. Speaker, the Act makes the Attorney General the Law Revision Commission. As a result, the Attorney General is responsible under Section 10(3) of the Act for declaring in an order published in the Gazette that the revised edition of the laws of St. Lucia is effective from the date stated in the order. However, Mr. Speaker, the order made by the Attorney General as a Law Revision Commission is also subject to an affirmative resolution of the Parliament under Section 10(4) of the Act. The order may be made by the Attorney General will give effect to any replacement, insertion, deletion, or amendment of the legislation under Section 13 of the Act. Further, Section 13.6 of the Act states that when the order is made, the revised edition, in whatever form that it takes, is considered to be the authentic version of the laws of St. Lucia. The 2023 supplementary revised edition of the laws is in the form of USB storage devices and loose leaf booklets. On the last occasion, this Honorable House authorized the Attorney General to make an order under the Act when the resolution for the 2022 supplement to the revised edition of the laws was approved. Mr. Speaker, we are here once again, this time to authorize the Attorney General to make an order to declare that the USB storage devices and loose leaf booklets of the 2023 supplement to the revised laws of St. Lucia are the authentic versions of the laws of St. Lucia. A draft of the 2023 supplement to the revised edition of the laws commencement order is attached to this resolution. This draft order indicates the commencement date for the 2023 revised editions of the laws, which is the date of publication of the order in the Gazette. The draft order incorporates the amendments made to existing laws and the new laws passed, including the assignment of new chapters to numbers. The price for the purchase of the laws in 2020 supplement to the revised edition of the laws is specified in the draft order. Mr. Speaker, this Honorable House, by this resolution, will authorize the Attorney General to make the order under the revised edition of the laws Act Cap 1.07. After this resolution is passed, the draft order will be passed by the Attorney General, thereby allowing an authentic version of the 2023 laws of St. Lucia to become effective from the date specified in the order. These laws will also be sold at the prices indicated. Mr. Speaker, again, it is customary, Mr. Speaker, as I read in the resolution, that that process, that procedure happens in the Parliament, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, what I want to tell the public of St. Lucia is these laws are available to the public now. You can buy them as in a USB storage, Mr. Speaker. And it's very important that the public, when possible, ensures that they read these laws again, read them, so again the misinformation can be dealt with, Mr. Speaker. Because all the laws that were passed between the last time and now, they are included, Mr. Speaker. Example, the Public Debt Management Act, the Health and Security Levy, the Income Tax Amendment Act, all these laws, Mr. Speaker, are available for the public to read and for the public to acquaint themselves with the facts, Mr. Speaker, as detailed in the law. So I want to urge the public, Mr. Speaker, to read for themselves, and not to be taken away sometimes by the many untruths that we hear in this country. The laws are available, they were passed in Parliament, they can be read, Mr. Speaker, so we can know exactly what is fact and what is fiction. I urge members to support the resolution.
Honourable members, the question is that Parliament do authorize the Attorney General to make an order to declare that the 2023 supplement to the revised edition of the Laws of St. Lucia, as specified in the order, shall come into force on such date as may be appointed by such order or as an authoritative version of the law. I now put the question. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Minister for Finance.
Whereas, under Section 1091 of the Value Added Tax Act, Cap 15.42, the Act, it is provided that the Minister of Finance may, by order published in the Gazette, amend the schedules to the Act. And whereas it is further provided under Section 1092 of the Act that an order made pursuant to Section 1091 of the Act is subject to an affirmative resolution of Parliament, except where the amendment is in the customs tariff heading only. And whereas the Minister of Finance seeks approval of the draft value-added tax amendment of Schedule 1 order to amend Schedule 1 of the Act by affirmative resolution of Parliament to include as zero-rated items for the period commencing from the 2nd day of August and terminating on the 41st day of May 2026, a supply of goods under the following customs tariff. 25-2 cement, 3925 90.1 knot, other articles of plastic, 3925.9.2 knot, 3925.9.9 knot, 44.07 to 44.18 lumber and plywood, 44.2 knot to 44.21, 72.01 to 70.16 galvanized and steel, 73.01 to 73.18, 76.01 to 76.1 knot, 76.16, 8302.41.00 base metal mountings suitable for buildings. For the supply of food items, under the following customs tariffs. Mr. Speaker, with your permission and members of the Honourable House, would you mind if I don't mention call the tariff headings
it's in the order.
Okay, it's in the order. So I will just call the food items, Mr. Speaker. Backs and necks, wings, other, fowls of species of turkey, fresh or chilled, not cut. Fowls or species of turkeys, frozen, not cut. Backs, necks, and wings of turkeys. Herring, mackerel, non-salted butter, salted butter, other, cheese. Potatoes, fresh or chilled. Tomatoes, fresh or chilled. Onions, garlic, cabbages, carrots, other carrots and turnips, cucumbers, celery, pumpkins, okras, split peas, chickpeas, small red beans, red kidney beans, black-eyed peas, lentils, broad beans, pigeon peas, sweet potatoes, arrowroot, avocados, mangoes, oranges, lemons, limes, watermelons, pawpaws, ginger, neither crushed nor ground, turmeric, oats, other, cereal growths, meals and pellets of maize, corn, cereal grains of oats, coconut oil in bottles 750 milliliters or less, margarine in containers 227 grams or less, chicken sausages canned, other chicken sausages, luncheon meats, canned corned beef in packages of a content, canned corned beef in packages of a content, herrings, sardines, Sardinian bristling of sprats, tuna fish, tunas in containers 6 ounces or less, tunas in containers 200 grams or less, cocoa powder in packages 4 ounces or less, other pasta, LDC, prepared foods obtained by the swelling or roasting of cereals or cereal products, biscuits unsweetened, other vegetables prepared or preserved, preparations for infant use, jams, jellies, fruits, marmalade, fruits or nut puree and fruits or nut paste for infant use, peanut butter, active yeast, inactive yeast, prepared baking powders, tomato ketchup, food preparations not elsewhere specified, preparations for infant use put up for retail sale. Be it resolved, Mr. Speaker,
Fruits and vegetables.
For the supply of all fruits and vegetables, baby formula, and local cassava products. Be resolved that the Parliament, by affirmative resolution, approves the draft value added amendment of Schedule 1, on which amends Schedule 1 of the Act to include as zero-rated goods, Mr. Speaker, the list of items which I read previously. Mr. Speaker, I am very pleased. I am delighted. I am ecstatic. I'm elated. I'm proud that, Mr. Speaker, this government has taken the most definitive, timely, and important step to reduce the cost of food items in St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, some time ago, you heard the refrain, 5 to stay alive. You also heard, Mr. Speaker, that there was a reduction in VAT. I want to ask members of the public, and then members of this Honorable House who can recall, who would want to recall, whether there was a reduction in any food item when the VAT was reduced by the former government. I want to say it again. With all the talk, Mr. Speaker, whether there was any reduction in the price of food in the supermarket when VAT was reduced to 12.5%. Today is not the day to tell you who benefited from the reduction of VAT. It's not a day for that, Mr. Speaker. Today is a day of celebration. We have our brother from Nigeria here and reducing the price of food for the people of St. Lucia. So in spite of the false narratives that they want to spread, in spite of the fact that they want you to believe that your country is not what it is, here are the facts, Mr. Speaker. These goods that I have mentioned, from the 2nd of August, we have moved to the 2nd of August to allow our friends in the private sector to make the necessary adjustments, Mr. Speaker. That all these goods I have mentioned here, their price will go down by 12.5%, Mr. Speaker, because they are zero rated. So, Mr. Speaker, we will see a reduction in the price of all the goods I mentioned, including cheese, including ketchup, and all fruits and vegetables, Mr. Speaker, imported or purchased locally. And Mr. Speaker, the fruits and vegetable part is a very important part, Mr. Speaker, because when our local farmers sold fruits and vegetables to the supermarkets, they were charged VAT. Now, Mr. Speaker, in fact, the consumer was charged VAT. Now, Mr. Speaker, VAT, there will no longer be VAT on the price, on the cost of local fruits and vegetables sold to the supermarket. So the consumer will get an immediate reduction on the price of these fruits and vegetables purchased by the farmers, purchased from the farmers of St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, this government this government understands, Mr. Speaker, that we have our policies must improve the quality of life of the people of St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. We have to ensure, Mr. Speaker, that when there are circumstances that are beyond our control, because, Mr. Speaker, the opposition has never told us what they can do to cause the cost of imported goods to change. How can St. Lucia influence the cost of goods imported from overseas? St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker, cannot or does not determine costs. We determine price. Now, how do we determine price, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, and the member for Labrie will further speak about the common external tariff. Because when they make their statement, including trade experts, they never say the facts, Mr. Speaker, how St. Lucia is operating on the common external tariff that has been signed by all the countries of CARICOM, that there are certain rates of duties that we have to, and they are consistent with what exists in the common external tariff, Mr. Speaker. So here's the first step that we took, Mr. Speaker. The first step that we took is that we removed customs duties, Mr. Speaker, on a variety of goods. Cheddar cheese, potatoes, onions, peas, chickpeas, black-eyed peas, pigeon peas, black tea, other soya beans, other palm oil, sunflower oil, other coconut oil, other maize, other vegetable oil, sardines, tuna, mackerel, homogenized vegetables for infant use, homogenized fruits for infant use, homogenized food preparations, soups and broths, etc., Mr. Speaker. We removed the customs duties. In fact, the rate of duty was set at 0. And the Minister of International Trade had to go to CARICOM, to COTED, to ask for derogation from the common external tariff to ensure that St. Lucia could have these goods at a 0 rate of duty, Mr. Speaker. Having said so, Mr. Speaker, the government moved further, Mr. Speaker. After discussions in the Chamber of Commerce, there were certain food items that was VAT exempt and not 0 rated. They were VAT exempt and were not 0 rated. There has been a constant concern by the Chamber of Commerce, including when the opposition were in government, and they know that very well, Mr. Speaker. They know that very well. By the private sector to reduce or to eliminate completely the exempt list, because that caused them not to be able to get their VAT back, but they had to spread the cost over these goods, Mr. Speaker. They asked them, they didn't do it. Mr. Speaker, you see, the opposition speaks as if they were never in government. But the thing is that, as I always said, Mr. Speaker, every criticism that the opposition has levied on this government, they have done worse. Everyone, Mr. Speaker, everyone. There's not been 4 years in opposition on the 26th of July. 4 years in opposition. They cannot level one accusation on us that they have not done worse. Because they want the public to believe that they were never in government. So, Mr. Speaker, they were in government. They refused to do anything with the goods that the Chamber of Commerce and the private sector was asking them to remove from the exempt list. They never did it, Mr. Speaker. But we have the courage and have a discussion. We are doing it, Mr. Speaker. This government is doing it, Mr. Speaker. This government is doing it, Mr. Speaker. We have the courage and we have the honesty to say to the public what are the facts and what we are doing, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, further, apart from the reduction, the zero-rated items, Mr. Speaker, that we are, the food items, Mr. Speaker, we have done other things, Mr. Speaker. We have given tax relief to the public of St. Lucia. We've increased the tax threshold to $24,000, Mr. Speaker. Plus the fact that we paid back pay that they owed the civil servants and they did not pay it when they were in government, Mr. Speaker. We paid it. We paid it in addition. And Mr. Speaker, in addition, yes, they owed the civil servants back pay. They did not pay it. We paid it, Mr. Speaker. In addition, we gave public servants a 13% pay increase, Mr. Speaker, and paid them the back pay tax-free, Mr. Speaker. And these are things, and even though they try to create their illusions of a country that doesn't really exist, these are things you cannot deny. You cannot tell the civil servants did not get the pay increase, and you cannot tell the 1,900 people that you had as temporary, they're going to get permanent employment in the civil service of St. Lucia. You cannot deny that. In spite of what you say, you cannot deny it, Mr. Speaker. And you cannot deny the pensioners of St. Lucia. Some of them who used to get $250 per month as pension under this government, the minimum pension is going to be, has been increased to $500 for them, Mr. Speaker. And as time goes, we will further increase it, Mr. Speaker, because we know that $500 is still not enough a minimum pension, Mr. Speaker. And they cannot deny it. They cannot deny it that we have asked the NIC to look into the possibilities of even increasing the pensions further, Mr. Speaker. We've asked the NIC to look at it, Mr. Speaker. And they can't deny that there were government pensioners who got less than $700 per month as pension. And this government has increased that pension to $750 per month for every government pensioner. So no government pensioner gets less than $750 a month, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, in spite of the illusions that they want to create, all people in St. Lucia are suffering, Mr. Speaker, as if they were never in government. They were not there. When they were there, people never suffered. Never, Mr. Speaker. When they were there, St. Lucia only began to suffer on the 21st of July, Mr. Speaker. But I can tell you, the people of St. Lucia will tell you that the benefits, and we're not over yet, there's more to come, the benefits that they have derived from this government, Mr. Speaker, has been second to none, Mr. Speaker, and cannot be compared, can never be compared to what they got, Mr. Speaker, when the last government was in power. So, Mr. Speaker, we are proud, Mr. Speaker, that right now we have laid the economic foundation in St. Lucia now. For the last 4 years, there has been constant and persistent economic growth, not set by the Ministry of Finance only, but by the World Bank, the IMF, and other financial institutions. 4 years of economic growth of 3% and more, Mr. Speaker. These are facts, Mr. Speaker. And in spite of what they say, these are facts, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this resolution also deals with building materials. With building materials, Mr. Speaker. We are maintaining the zero VAT status of building materials. And again, trying to deny what everybody can see. Everybody can see that there's an increase in construction. Everybody knows that there's a shortage of building materials. There was some time, a few weeks ago, you could not purchase one block in St. Lucia because there was an excess demand for building materials. Everybody can see, Mr. Speaker, but they want to deny it. They want to deny it. Even though you see it, they want to deny it, Mr. Speaker. They want to deny it, Mr. Speaker. But let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, what the reduction of VAT, part of the reason, Mr. Speaker, why the construction industry has improved in St. Lucia so much, Mr. Speaker. And I read from the Economic and Social Review, Mr. Speaker. And I read, Mr. Speaker, from the Social and Economic Review, Mr. Speaker. Construction activity, page 27, 2024. Construction activity picked up pace in 2024 amidst challenges faced, such as periodic shortages of materials and labor, which set back some projects. The sector's performance was buoyed by the continuation and commencement of major public and private sector projects, particularly hotel construction, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and I really want, Mr. Speaker, to note and comment for the people of St. Lucia to see for themselves the boom in hotel construction in this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, they can see it for themselves. And no matter you try to delude them and create all these images of falsity in the country, you can see, the people will see, they can see the hotels going up. They can see it, Mr. Speaker. And I want to compliment the Ministry of Tourism, Mr. Speaker. They can see it. The constructions, the sector's performance is buoyed by the continuation and commencement of major public and private sector projects. Mr. Speaker, I'm talking about a public sector project, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the people of St. Lucia can see the Grosley Northern Police Headquarters going up, Mr. Speaker. They can see it. They can see it. And Mr. Speaker, and you know, sometimes when you find yourself in a position where you cannot defend, what you do is you try to divert, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, I've said before, Mr. Speaker, that this government will never be diverted. We're not going to be diverted by propaganda. We're not going to be diverted by lies. Not going to be diverted by misinformation, because certain people do not want this country to progress because they are not in control of it, Mr. Speaker. And you can see, deny the fact that the Northern Police Headquarters is going up. Deny the fact that the House of Justice has started. Deny the fact that the Grosley Polyclinic is being built. Deny the fact that the Dennery Health Center was built. Deny the fact that St. Jude Hospital right now is in a serious state where we can say, categorically say, not put on renderings and when rainfall is leaking, we can categorically show that St. Jude's Hospital is at a high state of construction and will be completed very shortly. We can say, Mr. Speaker, that in construction, and you can say it's not true, that as we speak, the Enchipo 4 stories are being built on the Enchipo Secondary School as we speak. And as we speak, Mr. Speaker, there is work going on the Pero School, Mr. Speaker. As we speak, and as we speak, there is work going on in the Plainview Field, as we speak, Mr. Speaker. And as we speak, work is going on in the Granville Field, as we speak, Mr. Speaker. And shortly, Mr. Speaker, shortly, we are going to go to the Victoria Hospital complex, and you will see that, Mr. Speaker, work is going to commence shortly on the new emergency ward on the Victoria Hospital, Mr. Speaker. And I want anybody, all the prophets of doom and gloom, and all the trolls on social media to say that is not true. And Mr. Speaker, and as we speak, Mr. Speaker, I forgot that one. The Ministry of Housing will tell you As we speak, work is happening at Talvan on a modern housing complex for the people of St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. And as we speak further, what all the doom and this and that at the Rockall house, Rockall, the work is happening on the Rockall housing complex as we speak. And soon from now, Mr. Speaker, the roads in Monkey Tongue, in Cicero will be built. I give you that promise, Mr. Speaker. I don't know if he knows that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. and Mr. Speaker, still a member of Beaufort South is laughing because he knows as we speak, a nice road he wanted has just been completed in Beaufort, Mr. Speaker. And more to come, Mr. Speaker, more to come for Beaufort South, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, as another indicator, Mr. Speaker, domestic lending for construction purposes also rose in 2024 by 11.6%, mainly for non-residential construction. Mr. Speaker, I'm back to the preliminary GDP value-added estimates suggest that the construction sector grew by 22.4% in 2024, following a 1.1% increase in 2023. Consequently, the sector's contribution to real GDP inched up from 4.6% in 2023 to 5.4% in 2024. Public sector construction expenditure is estimated to have increased considerably by 52.3% to 247.2% in 2024. Central government construction expenditure increased by 45.2% to 186.9 million in 2024, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, you see, Mr. Speaker, that the government's policies as far as VAT is concerned for building materials have helped in that construction boom, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge, first of all, I want to thank the private sector for their support, Mr. Speaker, for their support in this venture, in working the first venture, Mr. Speaker. But I also want to say that I hope that the public, the consumer, gets the benefits of these zero-rated VAT items, Mr. Speaker. Because 12.5% will not be paid on these goods after all the other elements of cost have been included, Mr. Speaker. So that should lead to an automatic reduction. So even if the cost goes up, there should be an automatic reduction in St. Lucia because the 12.5% will not be effected on these goods, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, the government will be monitoring monitoring the prices, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that the consumer benefits, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Chamber, the Ministry of Finance, the Customs, and everybody involved, Mr. Speaker, Attorney General's office, in making that a reality. I am very pleased, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure our members are very pleased, Mr. Speaker, because all of us heard the cries from our constituents about the costs of living, Mr. Speaker. And all of us have always to be telling our constituents that do not listen to the propaganda, the misinformation, and the accusations that they hear every Sunday, Mr. Speaker. It's a good thing many of them are going to listen anyhow. But, Mr. Speaker, I really want to tell the public, Mr. Speaker, to listen, fact check and listen to what is being said, Mr. Speaker, and come to the correct decision, Mr. Speaker. And I'm sure when on this glorious day in 2026, when on this glorious day in 2026, Mr. Speaker, the people of St. Lucia are called upon to make a decision, Mr. Speaker. All of those, there shall be, as the good Bible says, there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Because, Mr. Speaker, many are called, but 17 will be chosen. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, the question is that Parliament, by affirmative resolution, approves the draft value-added tax amendment of Schedule 1 order, which amends Schedule 1 of the Act to include as zero-rated goods for the period commencing from the 2nd day of August 2025 and terminating on the 41st day of May 2026, a supply of goods as per the attached schedule. Member for Castries South East.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would be extremely brief, but I must add my voice to such an initiative and a motion that is before this House. Mr. Speaker, my ministry is responsible for the administration of public assistance. And of course, we have approximately 3,000, almost 4,000 persons who depend on the government through public assistance in receiving a mere sometime $300 to $400, and persons who on disability receiving approximately $200 thereabout. That would assist them in food. Mr. Speaker, anyone who is responsible for the Ministry of Equity, Social Justice, or have participated in the business of vulnerability, one of the most scary situations is that of indigence, or what I call food poverty. The idea of persons not having sufficient food or not having food to eat is a concern. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, the reflection of the food basket by which the poverty level is estimated, it is a concern for us that at every point in time, as a country, that there's adequate fiscal space for persons to have basic food items for survival. But, Mr. Speaker, in recent times, the issue of the multidimensional poverty index has allowed most nations to revisit the issue of poverty. And at the top of that scale of multidimensional poverty, the issue of nutrition and child mortality is at the head of it. In fact, the multidimensional poverty index pay attention to health, education, and standard of living. But the first red flag is highlighted at nutrition and child mortality. In 2017, thereabout, when an assessment was made of St. Lucia's situation as it relates to the multidimensional poverty, 36% thereabout was considered to be within that region or vulnerable to the multidimensional poverty issue. Mr. Speaker, I recall during COVID, while this administration was responsible, and the action towards crisis, a time of crisis, it concerned me personally, that an administration who promised that there would be a complete removal of VAT did not see the need to address food items through VAT at a time of crisis. As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, some of the most horrific statements I've heard by politicians was from their side, that if they don't eat, they will not die, or they will not suffer too much. These were pronouncements made by members of this side during the time of crisis. That statement, not just not from you, this side. Thank you. Not you, sir. Not you, sir. The two members to the extreme end on your side can relate. Yes, but the fact that, yes, my geography must be correct in that regard. But, Mr. Speaker, I cannot help but to reflect on the posture of the government at that time. When a country is in crisis, a government that promised the complete removal of VAT was confronted with people having food and they did nothing. In fact, the statement made was that if they don't eat, they will not die. That statement was made. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, the issue of indigence, not income poverty, indigence, food poor, what it is to be food poor. Mr. Speaker, some people cannot relate that there are households where a mother needs to decide as to how she spent $100. And while the Prime Minister was presenting the list of food items that would become 0 rated, I saw a body language as if, what is that? What is that? Does it amount to anything significant? I saw the body language. Mr. Speaker, when you traverse through communities like the Bexos and you hear mothers saying, Kimon ki kite condensed milk ouvert. Who left the condensed milk open? You understand? You get a sense that that household is placing a value on a tin of condensed milk. When a mother decides on a morning, should I, of course, pay sanitary napkin or leave transportation, have to make decision with $100 and $150. Mr. Speaker, I had the opportunity and privileged during the implementation of STEP when I was responsible for the SSDF, when I spoke to a senior lady from the north of the island. And I asked her, Ki man yo ka servi by STEP? Like, Missy Opay Kopon. Missy Opay Kopon. Le mwen ti la han sa la, mwen ka mette tak aswa kote. Pou si yon ka mwen atwa ka ek, mwen ka servi sa, ek mwen ka peche. I'm pinching it. I'm talking about $400. What is this to pinch? $400. Mr. Speaker, the list of items that has been 0 rated, 70 items, food items, is so significant that the members on the other side must get back in their conscience and ask, why didn't they do what they had to do? And why say to the people, if you bring me there, I will remove VAT completely. And when there was an opportunity to remove VAT on food items, they did nothing. Instead, they said, if you do not eat, you will not die. In other words, just stay hungry a little more. Better days are coming, so to speak. Or the idea that your hunger will not last forever. I don't know what it is. Yeah? That sort of posture is what the government had at the time. But thank God there is a cabinet of ministers. Where I got that from? You should listen to your own self at times. You understand? You should listen to yourselves. Thank God. Thank God there is a cabinet of ministers. I don't know what you're talking about. You're trying to disturb me. There is a cabinet of ministers and a prime minister. And a prime minister. What are you saying? Okay. You understand? There is. Oh, they're replacing me? Oh, don't worry about it. They're replacing me? I have not heard that. But I'll tell you about that just now. You know? There is a prime minister who is concerned. There is concern about the poor people of St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, I commend the Prime Minister. I commend the Prime Minister for removing VAT on housing materials. There are still people trying to build their homes. You know, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of all those persons who are on public assistance, the 3,000, 500 persons. On behalf of those persons who are receiving the disability grant, I thank the Prime Minister for removing VAT on food items. And in closing, Mr. Speaker, through you, Mr. Speaker, let me tell the leader of the opposition who said that I'm being replaced, he should do like me. He should have done like me. Because when I went up the first time in 2016, I lost. And I stayed and I won.
You bought a seat.
No, I'm getting to that. But when you lost in Soufre, you left Soufre and you went up to Grosile like the people who were selling cassava and broom, asking where can you get a seat to buy. They told me that you went to View Fort and they say it's not for sale. When you went up, when you went to Mikud South, you told the people that there were greener pastures, and later they discovered you were referring to a horse race track. So let me tell you something. You cannot speak to me about I'm being replaced. As a matter of fact, you know, if there are persons, if I'm being replaced, you need to pay attention. Because I am okay. There may be a few persons who want me replaced, but there's an entire country who wants you out of this parliament. An entire country who wants you out of this parliament. So be like me. I did not purchase a seat. I did not purchase a seat. You understand? I did not purchase a seat. I stayed, I fought, I won, and when it's time to move on, I'll do so with grace. Let me tell you, and I'll tell you, I'll say to you through the senior minister, this August, through the speaker, sorry, this chamber, many men of substance have graced this chamber, and I feel honored to be sitting inside here. But I find for a former prime minister, no, it's not a farewell speech. It is a speech to you because it's your farewell coming. You understand? For you personally, for somebody who lacks emotional intelligence, for someone who does not have a sense of purpose, insensitive, and does not understand when to speak and how to speak, I find the only way you could remain in a house like here is when you have purchased it. But I'm telling you, the value of your purchase is running out. And the people of Mikud South will tell you what time it is because you have used all what they have paid for, and they will make a change in time to come. But I will remain grateful to the people of Castries Southeast and to the poor people that I represent. So you, so I'm telling you, I'll continue to represent poor people, and I stood up because this initiative is not just for the hoteliers. It is not about Joachim Henry. It's not about us who are sitting here. The people we represent probably do not have a voice like you. But I think you should stand up and applaud the Prime Minister, because those persons in Mikud would do well to know that they can buy foods in the supermarket cheaper, far much cheaper, 12.5% cheaper than what's going on. And this is what I thank the Prime Minister for on behalf of the poor people of St. Lucia. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Suzel Saltibus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I go into my contribution to the motion, I just would like, with your permission, to just make two. Well, one is a request and the other an announcement. The request, Mr. Speaker, is that to ensure that the minister's statements be circulated. There are many times when I've left the House and I've not gotten my copies. So there are 3 statements I would like to get copies this morning.
Arrangements are already in train to have that.
Thank you. Yes. The other thing I would like to say this morning, Mr. Speaker, is I would like to congratulate the schools in District 7 for their stellar performance at the CPA exams, Mr. Speaker. Choiseul Saltibus forms part of that district. In fact, I thought I would have heard from the Minister of Education giving a statement on how well we did in terms of the CPA performance, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in fact, I believe we were second in terms of the means on island. So, Mr. Speaker, congratulations to the principals, the teachers, parents, and ancillary staff, and all who ensured that our children remain focused, and they did very well. And I wish them all very, very, very well in the various schools that they'll be attending. Mr. Speaker, you also know that this is graduation season, and Choiseul Saltibus has one of the constituencies with the most schools. It's been quite a challenge to be able to attend all of them. But the very first one I attended, Mr. Speaker, was the first graduation of the TVET school in PI, Mr. Speaker. And they had to use the private facility. And Mr. Speaker, these days are very warm. And we were very hot in the facility, Mr. Speaker. And I could not help but feel sad that we have had 2 community centers that have been lying there for over 2 years, completed and not been put in use for the people of Choiseul Saltibus, Mr. Speaker, where there are air-conditioned facilities. It would have been nice for the first graduation for the TVET school in PI that they could have used the PI facility, Mr. Speaker. So I needed to ensure, Mr. Speaker, that I again bring it to the attention of the Prime Minister and, well, unfortunately he's not there today, the member for ancillary canneries, who had promised to look into it, Mr. Speaker, at one of our sit-ins, and to date nothing, and the people are clamoring for use of their facility, Mr. Speaker, because, you know, when I hear my colleague across, member for Castries South, member for Grosile, speak about how they will soon be opening their facilities for the enjoyment of the people, Mr. Speaker, I can't help but feeling very victimized at this point, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, on the substantive issue behind us, and that is the motion to provide relief. Mr. Speaker, I will quote the member for Vieux-Fort South at some past sitting where he said it is very rare that he agrees with a member opposite. And I will say, Mr. Speaker, likewise, today I want to agree with the words that were used by the Prime Minister. The words, I am very pleased, I am very ecstatic, I'm very delighted, I'm very elated, Mr. Speaker, for the wisdom in ensuring that something is done to reduce the high cost of living, particularly on food and building items, Mr. Speaker. Because you see, Mr. Speaker, we would recall the Honorable Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, in recent parliamentary sittings indicating that there was nothing that he could do, Mr. Speaker, with regards to alleviating the high cost of living. These are words that are well known, documented, and Hansard would show it, Mr. Speaker, that there was nothing to do with regard to the high cost of living, Mr. Speaker.
But are you saying that these words were uttered in this house?
Yes, sir.
Because the words I recall are cost of imported items and not cost of living.
He said he could not do of the cost of the items.
Imported items.
Which obviously, Mr. Speaker, resulted in the high cost of living, cost of items. But because, Mr. Speaker, what the Prime Minister is proposing here today is going to reduce cost of the items and also the cost of living, Mr. Speaker. Price, yes, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy because we, as an opposition, Mr. Speaker, and you'll recall too, Mr. Speaker, at our last budget sitting, I indicated to the Prime Minister that it was very simple, that we attack it from the port of entry, that we could have reduced the rates from the port of entry, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the member for ancillary canneries indicated to me he welcomes the suggestion as they had never looked at it that way before, and it's something that they would look into. So I'm very happy, Mr. Speaker, that wisdom, has prevailed. After 4 years, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has recognized that there is something that can be done to address the high cost of living, and Mr. Speaker, that will help our people, Mr. Speaker. However, Mr. Speaker, the member also indicated that the member for Labrie would speak to the CET. And I also indicated at the time, Mr. Speaker, that one of the challenges we had at the time with some of the things that you had indicated with regards to reducing some of the food items was that we have to be very careful as well, because there are things produced in the Caribbean, and to just go ahead and give a blanket reduction without consultation with our partners in the region would cause problems, because we have to remain competitive, and just doing a blanket thing would give, for example, goods coming from North America, various parts of the world would definitely put our items coming from the region, at a disadvantage. So wisdom has prevailed, Mr. Speaker. There has been conversation, and I congratulate the government. Even in my mind, it's at a very, very late time coming, but better late than never, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, you know what would have been extremely wonderful today, Mr. Speaker? Extremely wonderful if the Prime Minister had also made a statement that he would be reducing or removing completely the 2.5% health and security levy on all building materials and everything else, Mr. Speaker. That would have been wonderful, because you remember when it was launched initially, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister said it was for a period of 1 year. Unfortunately, they have decided to renew that, Mr. Speaker. So these are the things, Mr. Speaker, that we have to look at very closely, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I note also that the period is going to be from August 2025 to May 2026, Mr. Speaker. I am not sure why we're looking at it only from a 9-month period. Maybe the Prime Minister can explain, because, the poor and vulnerable, you put it for the elections, that's what you said? Oh, I swear I heard you say you put it for the elections. That's not what that says. That's not what it says. The Prime Minister is saying only for building materials, but one falls into the next, Mr. Speaker, so he doesn't speak to that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yes, so Mr. Speaker, continuing, Mr. Speaker, I thought that based on my interpretation, it appears that it was just for 1 year, or 9 months rather, but the Prime Minister has indicated that it's only for building materials. So I take it that the food items goes on in perpetuity until something. Okay, well, very good, very good. It's good to get the clarification. But Mr. Speaker, I also think it would be extremely important that the Prime Minister consider for a window, similarly to building a material, a window for suspension parts for vehicles, Mr. Speaker. Because it's no secret, the condition of our roads, particularly people like me who travel 4 or 5 times to and from Choiseul Saltibus from the north, Mr. Speaker, and particularly, in fact, I saw the East Coast Road got some work, but the West Coast Road we still have quite a bit, Mr. Speaker. And, our minibus operators, Mr. Speaker, we hear them complaining every day about the high cost of parts and the suspension replacements. And so a little relief, Mr. Speaker, in that department, I'm sure would have been welcome. And on that note, speaking about roads, I really, really want to bring to the Minister of Infrastructure, who's not there right now, but through the Prime Minister as well, through you, Mr. Speaker, the deplorable conditions of the roads in Choiseul Saltibus, Mr. Speaker. And people will say that that did not happen overnight. Mr. Speaker, I dare say it happened overnight, Mr. Speaker, because the roads in Choiseul Saltibus were given adequate attention, except 1 or 2 roads which require serious rehabilitation, Mr. Speaker. Our roads, Mr. Speaker, were roads that we could boast about. And I have brought it to this attention on more than one occasion, the Saltibus Road, Mr. Speaker, where Wasco has gone in, done some work, and the road has not been repaired, Mr. Speaker. I brought it on more, and the member for Vieux-Fort South can attest to that, because he goes up along that road quite often, Mr. Speaker. There are places where, Mr. Speaker, the roads on the left side have been dug by Wasco. You have to get away the roads, Mr. Speaker, which is, an avenue for accidents, Mr. Speaker. So I'm hoping, Mr. Speaker, that, some attention be paid to that. I saw some time ago, and I don't know if that is what is going to spur the government each time, that residents complain, and we saw a particular contractor come here with somebody who's not even a rep to say they were going to do the roads, and people are still complaining. This weekend I'm going to try to get a truck to bring material, at least to fill in some of the canals that people have to traverse through, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there's one more thing the Prime Minister said, which I think I need to raise, Mr. Speaker, and that the Prime Minister, and it's very unfortunate that this is not the first time that the Prime Minister has used that as a political jab, Mr. Speaker, but it's very unfortunate because I recall members opposite using words to describe COVID as apocalyptic, and so the kind of words, Mr. Speaker, that you only describe you only use to describe the worst event ever, Mr. Speaker. And COVID is something that we would most likely like to forget, Mr. Speaker, because it was a terrible time. And we know as a country we lost most of our revenue, Mr. Speaker. We know the challenges. And for the Prime Minister to continue to come and say that as a government, this side did not pay the back pay, when he knows very well it was negotiated with the various unions, Mr. Speaker, that because of what the suffering the country was going to, let's hold it back. But everything was agreed upon, Mr. Speaker. So he just came in and you had it there just to deal with, Mr. Speaker. So I think, Mr. Speaker, it is unfair and it's unfortunate to continue to use COVID, Mr. Speaker, and what happened in COVID, because up to now we're still benefiting from the results of access to funds from COVID, because we know how serious it was. So let's not try to erase that part of our history, Mr. Speaker. As much as possible, we would like to forget what it did to a lot of us, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, that being said, I'm happy that, finally, something is being done to alleviate the high cost of living, and that the people will truly benefit, and that the wholesalers, the retailers, Mr. Speaker, will not see it as an avenue to take advantage of our people. That being said, Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Member for Beaufort North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to lend support to this very important resolution, which seeks, Mr. Speaker, which seeks approval of the value-added tax amendment of Schedule 1 order to amend Schedule 1 of the Act by an affirmative resolution of Parliament to include as zero-rated goods a number of items, Mr. Speaker. Cement, lumber and wood, other articles of plastic, galvanized and steel, base metal mounting suitable for buildings, backs and necks, wings, fowls of species, turkey, fresh or chilled, frozen turkey and other species of fowl, backs and necks and wings, herrings, mackerel, non-salted butter, salted butter, other cheese. All of these, Mr. Speaker, and more will be 12.5% cheaper for the people of St. Lucia. And there is more, Mr. Speaker. Cheese, potatoes, fresh or chilled, tomatoes, onions, garlic, cabbages, carrots, turnips, cucumber, celery, pumpkins, okras, split peas, chickpeas, small red beans, kidney beans, black-eyed peas, lentils, broad beans, pigeon peas, sweet potatoes, arrowroot, avocados, mangoes, oranges, lemons, limes, watermelons, papaya, ginger, turmeric, oats, cereal, Mr. Speaker, cereal grains of oats, coconut oil, margarine, chicken sausages, other chicken sausages, luncheon meat, canned corned beef, tuna fish, sardines, cocoa powder, biscuits,
jams and jellies, marmalade, peanut butter, yeasts, and a whole list of items, Mr. Speaker, all of which will be cheaper for the people of Vieux-Fort North and the people of St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, before I make a few other comments, the member for Choiseul indicated that he wished the member for Castries East and Prime Minister, Minister for Finance, could also speak about the elimination of the 2.5% health and security levy. I want to say to you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to explain to you, to the honorable members, and also to the people of St. Lucia, I want to tell them, and it has been said before in this House, that while the health and security levy at its best would raise about $35 million, I just want to itemize a few things that we have done in health with the help of the health and security levy and the support of the Ministry of Finance and the Minister for Finance. Mr. Speaker, we are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to provide support at no cost to all men in St. Lucia for their prostate investigations. They are getting the tests, they are getting further consultations at no cost to them. We are providing, Mr. Speaker, hundreds of thousands of dollars to support advanced cervical cancer screening with the help of the health and security levy. We are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to provide support to pregnant women in St. Lucia, their ultrasounds and their blood tests without any cost to them, Mr. Speaker. We are providing thousands of dollars for anyone who gets bitten by a snake, the Fedilas snake, and if they need advanced care, surgeries, and other medication. Breast cancer screening, Mr. Speaker, which we just introduced 2 weeks ago. We are providing thousands of dollars to women for the mammography investigations. We have supplied 2 new mammography machines, and we are providing also services in advanced investigations. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance has provided additional subventions to the Millennium Heights Medical Complex and the St. Jude Hospital, thousands of dollars. We have used money from the Health and Security Levy to assist us with the reconstruction, rebuilding of the La Richus Wellness Center, providing equipment and so on, which is operational now. Increased services in the labs and so on at the Soufrière Hospital. I also want to say to you, Mr. Speaker, we have used monies to ensure that the Deriso Wellness Center was refurbished, and it's now the Lilia Haraxing Health and Wellness Center. Mr. Speaker, by way of repayments on our loans and so on, we are also going to refurbish the Babuno and the Foisson Wellness Centers with new equipment and so on. I want to say to them, Mr. Speaker, that as a result of that, now all of these already costs close to $100 million, Mr. Speaker, and they speak about the health and security levy, which is just helping us, and we need to help ourselves. But I want to tell them more. As Prime Minister indicated, we are currently reorganizing and adding a section to the Grosile Polyclinic, which is the Dr. Martin Didier Polyclinic, Mr. Speaker. We are doing work at the Victoria Hospital, the Betty Wells Polyclinic, and the Accident and Emergency Wing will be rebuilt. We are also increasing the budget. We have also, the Minister for Finance has also increased the budget to the Ministry of Health from 197-something million at its best to over $202 million in this budget, Mr. Speaker. Also, Mr. Speaker, just recently, the Minister for Finance went to Martinique and repaid all of our debt to the University Hospital of Martinique. Mr. Speaker, this is just a little microcosm of what we are spending in health. Now, the health and security levy, Mr. Speaker, is assisting us, but the opposition speaks as if you need to remove it because it is causing pain to the people of St. Lucia. We, the people of St. Lucia, are paying a small levy to assist us, to assist ourselves, to assist us. Nous avons des connus et quand il levy en health and security Et gars, tout ce travail ça là nous qu'a fait en sortie. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say to you that this government has a track record which points to our intention to reduce the cost of living for all St. Lucians. This resolution, Mr. Speaker, simply adds to the work that this government has been doing. The government has been managing the economy. The Minister for Finance and Member of Parliament for Castries East has been managing this economy, Mr. Speaker, so that the benefits of this management could accrue to the people of St. Lucia. And this is just one other example. I want to say to you, Mr. Speaker, if you think of the different things we have done as a government, the people in my constituency have benefited. The people in my constituency have been given reprieve in so many different areas, so that that extra money, which they do not have to spend on school books and so on, can be used to better their families and to invest. I'll just give you a few examples, Mr. Speaker. I know a family from Grace, and this family has a temporary teacher in the family. For years, this teacher never got a salary, Mr. Speaker. As a result of the policies of this government, as a result of the work of the Minister for Finance, this teacher this year will get his salary, Mr. Speaker. I want to also say to you, Mr. Speaker, that in that family also, a $500 bonus was given to that public servant, and it's going to help with the family. Mr. Speaker, in another family, there are 2 pensioners, and a bonus of $500 was given to each of these pensioners. Do you know how that assists, how this would help in lowering the cost of living for this family, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, the back pay to public servants, as the Minister for Finance pointed out. If you go to Piero, Mr. Speaker, in my constituency, Miss Mary has 2 children in primary school, and she has 2 grandchildren in secondary school. Our government, Mr. Speaker, will pay the facilities fees for all of the children and also 4 CXC subjects for Miss Mary's grandchildren. Look at what this government is doing to reduce the pressure on the family, Miss Mary's family in Piero, Mr. Speaker. If you go to Bellevue, there are several teachers from Bellevue, Mr. Speaker. You know what will happen this year, this September? Each of these teachers will get $1,400 to contribute to purchasing of materials. Again, this government is thinking about different sectors and what we can do to help these families reduce pressures on their income and their earnings. Look at minimum wage, Mr. Speaker, how it's benefiting so many families. The parents of the children who are graduating, some graduated yesterday, some graduating today, others graduating tomorrow. Each parent will get $500 for their children, Mr. Speaker. This is what this government is doing, in addition to what we are doing now today. And look at Miss Jane and Miss Renee. I know these 2 people from Bellevue. They are both pregnant. And a while ago, Mr. Speaker, I spoke about how this government is spending money in health to reduce the cost of, in fact, they don't have to pay for their ultrasounds and their blood tests, Mr. Speaker, in the trimesters. They don't have to do it. Again, the work of this government. Ex-parte la avant. This is not something that the government, they are talking about in opposition as if that always existed. No, Miss Jane and Miss Renee will not pay for their blood tests and will not pay for their ultrasounds. They are pregnant and they will not pay for it. Mr. Speaker, just like Mr. John and Brother Eustace, they went for their PSAs, they went for their consultations for their prostate, and they do not have to pay. That is the work of this government, Mr. Speaker, to reduce the pressure on families in St. Lucia. When you look at the brothers and sisters, so many of them in 17 wellness centers who are getting free medication for diabetes and hypertension, and that service will be extended to the rest of the wellness centers. Again, this government is working to ensure that families, the pressure on families is reduced, and that they are doing much, much better. Mr. Speaker, in my constituency, there is a community called Vijay, and there is Kako and Magotin. Do you know, so far, about 3 women, Mr. Speaker, have gone for their breast exams. We started a new service for breast cancer diagnosis, a new service. And do you know, I know at least 3 women from my constituency in just that little community who have gone for them mammogram, Mr. Speaker. They have gone to do their mammogram. We have mammography machines, as I've said, the most advanced in the country. 3D investigations, Mr. Speaker. That is the work of this government at no cost to them. And if they have to take biopsies, Mr. Speaker, they don't have to pay. And if there are additional consultations, they do not have to pay. What was the last government doing if all of the money that they said they are masters at managing the economy, they are business people, there is a CEO managing the government? What were they doing with the people's money? Here is what we are doing with the people's money. Here is what we are doing with your money, people of St. Lucia. We are creating opportunities for you to get advanced breast cancer screening. The biggest cancer killer of women in St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. We are doing things to ensure that we cause that situation to change. In education, in Vieux-Fort North, Mr. Speaker, again, reducing the cost of living. All our children will get laptops all around St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. In early childhood education, you know how much a laptop costs? Between $900 and $1,500. If this government was not doing that, every parent, the hundreds of parents, would have to get $1,500 or $900 to purchase a laptop for their children from Vieux-Fort North or from the rest of St. Lucia. Ça gouvernement ça a fait, c'est manager l'économie et manière premier ministre a manager, nous ka joindre l'argent pour aider les gens Saint-Lucie avec l'argent nous. C'est ça nous ka fait, Mr. Speaker. So when they on the other side are criticizing and saying all kinds of things about this government, yo pas te ka prendre l'argent Saint-Lucie pour dépenser en les Saint-Lucien, Mr. Speaker. Ça c'est pas ça yo te ka fait. They were spending the money on other people, but we are spending your money, St. Lucia, on you, on your children, on sick people. That's where we are spending the money. Look at agriculture, fertilizers, water tanks. Mr. Speaker, we are spending the money on you, the people. Look at what's happening in sports, improving our facilities. In Vieux-Fort North, we are trying to complete the Belvis playing facility, and it will be completed. In housing, house repair, many of you have benefited because this government believes that we must help you use our money on you. Gouvernement ça a dit nous ka servi l'argent, là nous ka manager l'économie en les gens pays cette ici. C'est là focus nous y. Si nous ne pouvons gagner glasses pour garder focus gens pays cette ici, c'est ça nous ka fait. That is what we are focused on. Not what these people are focused on. They are focused on darkness and things with big eyes and all sorts of sweeping streets. We are focused on sweeping poverty out of the people of St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. That's what we are focused on. Small business. We are focused on small business. The subsidies from Ministry of Commerce to ensure that flour, rice and sugar and cooking gas from Ministry of Finance to ensure that you don't have to pay $20 extra for a small tank of gas. That's what we are focused on, Mr. Speaker. And I'm telling you, if you look at the work of this government, you will see that we are focused on the people. And this resolution today adds to this work. Disabilities. We have a whole ministry, a new ministry for people with disabilities. We are focused on the people, Mr. Speaker. Tourism and support to our creatives. Look at how our artists, we are in Calypso season. Look at how our artists are getting support and our creatives. And the visit of the Nigerian president, His Excellency Tinubu, has created new opportunities. I can sense the excitement in the drumming community. I'm hearing about new drums from Nigeria and leather coming from Nigeria. When the minister told me so, you know me, I get excited. And you know something, Mr. Speaker? What was very interesting, the opposition, they gave me a lot of promotion, you know, when the Nigerian president came in. A lot of promotion. The chairman of their party, I'm the chairman of our party, so he's always trying to throw jabs at me. The chairman of the party took a picture of mine, playing the drum with my African thing, and he posted it on his page saying that look, Musa will go and dance for the Nigerian president barefoot and playing drums. It's there. You can look at it on Facebook. I loved it. I loved it. And I welcomed it. I tell him 2 more posts like that of me playing drums. Yes. Because for them, you see, Mr. Speaker, that's the essence of who they are. For them, playing drums and wearing African garb and playing drums is demeaning. That's from the chairman of the party. Go and look at his page right now, you'll see it. You can go Google it, check it right now as I'm speaking. So he's saying as if he can imagine me barefoot. The man said he imagined me without shoes playing drums for the Nigerian president. So that tells you who they are. That tells you who they are. So, and they say it all the time. All this man can do is write poetry and play drums, as if it's demeaning to play drums. It's now they will see me play. There's a song from Martinique, Gade yo wule, yo ka wule asu go kala. There's a certain kal that's around Vieux-Fort North. The drums just start to play on his head. The drums just start to play on his head. Yes, I don't want to give his other name. Even in the quarry, I play drums on his head. They're trying to hide him, whether they are police or soldier, whoever they are. Calypsonian, soca man, let them come. Even I taken him to the quarry to play drums on his head. He going in all little corners hiding. Saying, no, Musa ain't doing nothing for you. I am so happy. So let them speak about our Africanness and our drums. I'm very excited. I'm very excited, Mr. Speaker, that we are going to get even more support from the creatives, for the creatives, Mr. Speaker. So all of what? Look, it's right there. A member has found the article. You see? He has me with my, you see there? With my drum, and he's saying, trying to demean me. I'm barefoot playing drums for the African thing. You see? That's how they are. They hate St. Lucians. They hate our drummers. They hate our cultural people because they think we are low. They think we are low class simply because we sing La Rose and we sing Calypso and we play drums and we write poetry. They can never like Derek Walcott. They would never like a Derek Walcott because they believe that those things are demeaning. We should be singing opera somewhere with long coattails at horse races, with long strippy suits in the hot sun. That's what we should be doing. Yes, and bring Tio King in the parliament. That's what they want. But they see, Mr. Speaker, that those of us, though we may come from situations where our parents had to struggle, we continue with the pride and the glory of our forefathers, and we use the opportunities that are provided by our government for our children. When Dr. Anthony was Prime Minister, member for Vieux-Fort South, we used the opportunities to advance education, and so our children can grow. That is what we are about. And so this resolution, Mr. Speaker, is just another addition to the work of the St. Lucia Labour Party to reduce the cost of living. And I thank the Prime Minister because there are many people from my constituency, from Vijay Kako, from Mangotin, from Grace, from Teva, from Piero, from Bellevue, everywhere, Opicon, who are now fixing their homes and improving their lives because they have to pay 12.5% less on building materials. Magadi tout janvier for nof, qui veut manger kaizo. Nous ka extend pani vat en les matuyaux, pani vat en les matuyaux. Nous ka extend ça. So, nous ka dit gouvernement c'est où nous ka gadi. Nous pas ka worry about ça yo ka di l'autre side là. Yo ka tuil bi chez nous parce que moi ka jouer tambou et moi ka mettre Hard Afrique, yo ka mettre en les pages Facebook yo akwe di na jouer tambou sans soulier, akwe di là ka jouer tambou sans belle lèche ou sans pache. Yo pas aimé nous, yo pas aimé kilte nous. Et c'est pour ça nous pas ni pour voter ba yo, Mr. Speaker. We must not put them in office. Because they do not like you. They do not like your St. Lucianness. Do not put them in office. Because they may well come in and outlaw all our emancipation celebrations. They may well come in and do that. just like they took away the laptops. Don't put it past them, Mr. Speaker. Do not put it past them. When they show you who they are, believe them. When they tell you when they try to demean you about your drums and your culture, believe them. Because when they get into office, they will do it. And we will not allow it to happen. So I want to say to you, Mr. Speaker, I support this resolution. And I want to tell the people of Vieux-Fort North, make sure your ID cards are new and fresh, because we ain't taking no chances in these elections. All the people of Vieux-Fort North, in 2026, get ready, because we cannot let them come back to destroy all of the work that we continue to do as a St. Lucia Labour Party. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merci and Shai.
Leader of Government Business. Member for Soufrière.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, before I deal with the resolution before me, I want to congratulate my principals and teachers in District 8 for their performance in the CPEA exam, in particular the Soufrière Primary School, who had their graduation this morning. I'm sorry I was not able to join them, but I want to specifically thank Ms. Clovis for the work that she's doing there. I want to thank as well the principal of the Les Etats Combined School and the teachers there again for the performance. The principal and staff of the Soufrière Comprehensive Secondary School, they had their graduation last night, and again, good performance. So I'm extremely proud at the performance of our schools in District 8, and I remain committed. I want to also thank the organizations, Mr. Speaker, that continue to provide support to our schools as well as to our youth. I want to put on record my gratitude to Anchasne Jade Mountain, Soufrière Regional Development Foundation, Sugar Beach, and the other businesses that continue to provide sterling support to education and youth in my district. I want to thank them profusely for this. So, Mr. Speaker, the resolution before us, I write in support of the resolution before us to amend Schedule 1 of the VAT Act as presented by the Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister, and the member for Castries East, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will take a little time on this resolution because as the Minister for Commerce, I want to add meat to the areas already presented by the Honorable Prime Minister. So, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I will start by presenting again to the members of the public why we have done what we are doing. St. Lucia, as we all know, is an open economy, Mr. Speaker, and we depend on external markets and supplies for all that we have here, all that we import, processed foods and unprocessed foods. This structural dependence, Mr. Speaker, is due in large measure because of our size, because that impacts what we can produce at an economic cost. Together, Mr. Speaker, we lack the comparative advantage needed to justify production or attract investment in many of the items that we produce. Another important factor to be considered in this external dependence, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that as a small country, we are particularly price takers, and with no ability to determine the price of the goods and products that we import. Mr. Speaker, when we did our research, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, they release annually the price index, and the most recent one, which was released in February, Mr. Speaker, it speaks on an average price index of 127.1, Mr. Speaker, in February. And when you compare this to the price index of January, there was an increase of 2 percentage points, 200 percentage points, Mr. Speaker, which is showing us that apart from meat products, every item in the sub-index of food was increased. Every item except meat. The most significant increases, Mr. Speaker, recorded were sugar, dairy, and vegetable oil. So why, this is just giving you a little background as to why you're doing what you're doing. So as a government, we started by the removal of the 6% service charge just last month, Mr. Speaker, effective 1st of June. This government removed service charge on all price control products as part of government's outgoing efforts to ease the burden on increased prices. And we did this through statutory instrument number 82 of 2025. This measure, Mr. Speaker, took effect from the 1st of June until May 31st, 2026. The suspension applies to a broad range of essential goods, including packaged rice, flour, milk, cooking oil, potatoes, baby food, and canned items. Given that these price control items with fixed margins, Mr. Speaker, the benefit from the removal of this service charge were immediately observed by the market. And I will give you some examples. For cornflakes, Mr. Speaker, I'll give you the prices before. It was $11.91. After with the removal of the service charge, it was sold at $11.27, a savings of 64 cents. For baby food, and that is the brand Enfagro, before the removal it was $80.02. After the removal, it was sold for $74.83, a savings of $5.99. For People's Choice milk, Mr. Speaker, it was $2.55, and after the service charge removal, it became $2.37. For Sunrise soya oil, before it was $6.95, it was reduced to $6.53. Crick's biscuits, it moved from $2.50 to $2.37. And for Carib Pearl parboiled rice, it moved from a kilo $14.93, and after the service charge, $14.28, a savings of 65 cents. So, Mr. Speaker, this is telling you that we had savings, and that savings is being reflected in the supermarket shelves. That's the figures that we have presented and collected by our own staff at the Ministry of Consumer Affairs. The Consumer Affairs Department continues to closely monitor the implementation of this policy measure. Businesses are required to submit the price control calculation sheets in order to obtain approval for wholesale and retail selling prices, which are determined using the legitimate fixed or percentage markup. And this ranges from 7.5% to 11% at the retail level and 10% to 20% at the wholesale level. The data received thus far confirms that the 6% reduction has been applied, and to date businesses are compliant with that policy measure. This initiative, Mr. Speaker, forms a broader strategy aimed at protecting consumers and ensuring affordability of essential items in the current economic climate. For this reason, Mr. Speaker, in my capacity as a Minister for Commerce and also responsible for consumer affairs, I am pleased today to join the Honorable Prime Minister in this resolution that is before this House. Mr. Speaker, with this resolution to amend our VAT Act Cap 15.42 to effect zero-rating items on 70 main items, which has been broadened to include fruits and vegetables, baby formula, and local cassava products. Mr. Speaker, from the information that I have received, when we itemize all the products, it moved from just 70 items to 173 items. When you itemize each item on the vegetables, fruits, and so on. A cursory glance, Mr. Speaker, indicates that these are among the basic food items consumed by John Public. And you've heard the listing, you've heard it from the Honorable Prime Minister and Member for Castries East, you've heard it from the Minister for Beaufort North, and in some cases, I will list some items again. So, Mr. Speaker, as per our VAT Act, all goods and services are classified as exempt or zero-rated. Where goods and services are not listed as exempt or zero-rated, they are subject to VAT at the standard rate of 12.5% or 7% and 10% for hotel accommodation and tours in the tourism sector. Mr. Speaker, some of the items that attracted standard rates of VAT are, and I will call a few, we had herrings, attracted a standard rate. Mackerel, a standard rate. Non-salted butter, a standard rate. Cheeses, standard rate. Chickpeas, standard rate. Split peas, standard rate. You have, for example, lentils is exempt. I think it is important, Mr. Speaker, that we differentiate between what is standard rate and those that were exempt. Because for John Public, when an item, for example, herrings, attracted a standard rate of VAT of 12.5%, now that after this resolution is passed here, this item will be zero-rated. The reduction in price will be extremely significant, 12.5% or more. Whereas, for example, if you take a piece like lentils that was exempt, the difference in price between after this resolution is going to be a little less. And that I will explain why. Mr. Speaker, over 45 categories of goods will be reclassified from standard rated, which is a 12.5% to zero rated. All things remaining equal, it means that an item which was $11.25, that is $10 plus 12.5% VAT, will now cost the consumer $10. An item which was once purchased for $22.50, meaning $20 plus 12.5% VAT, will now be $20. $112.50 expenditure on these items will result in a savings of $12.50 to the consumer. Mr. Speaker, these policies add to hundreds of dollars in savings on a weekly and monthly basis to our household, to our housewives rather. But more significantly, I want to inform this Honorable House that our estimate so far with the implementation of this resolution, on an annual basis, we estimate that it is going to cost this government $5.38 million. The resolution we have before us, we estimate is going to cost this government $5.38 million in revenue forgone. Mr. Speaker, the remaining food items listed as reclassified from exempt to zero. Of these items that will be reclassified, 24 items are price controlled. Mr. Speaker, this government has been ridiculed for stating that goods will be reclassified from exempt to zero to ease the inflationary pressures, because goods already exempt have no VAT. And that was the position, or that is the position of the opposition, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, I want to expand a bit on the reason why we had to move goods from exempt to zero rated. Mr. Speaker, with VAT exempt goods, no VAT is charged on these goods. However, as a general rule, any VAT paid by registered business that is incurred to sell these goods, referred to as input VAT, cannot be claimed by the business. The VAT that cannot be claimed must be absorbed by the business as an additional cost. And in most cases, it is passed on to the consumer in the form of higher prices. That is when those goods have, when you consider them exempt goods, goods that are exempt. That is what happens. The business person cannot claim the VAT incurred on selling those goods, and what they do generally is to pass that cost on to the other goods that are there. And most times the goods that attract these increase that cost are the goods that are not price controlled. So, Mr. Speaker, the decision to pass on to the consumer is influenced by the following. You have goods that have what you call price elasticity. If goods are price elastic, where a change in the price leads to a significant demand in the goods, the business will likely absorb the input VAT and suffer a lower margin. Alternatively, the business may spread the additional costs among other goods and services that are not price elastic, thus increasing the price of these goods. If the goods are not price elastic, Mr. Speaker, an increase in price will not adversely impact the demand for that good. And examples of goods that are not price elastic would be bread, flour, sugar, tuna fish, some of those basic items. Irrespective of the price, people must buy them. Any input VAT relating to exempt goods that cannot be claimed by the business may result in a direct increase in the price of these goods. The amount is likely to be passed on to the consumer. That increase is not possible only if the goods are price controlled. For zero-rated goods, with zero-rated goods, the VAT rate is zero. The business can claim any input VAT incurred to sell these goods. There is no input VAT to be absorbed by the business or to be passed on to the consumer. That being explained, Mr. Speaker, in addition to removing VAT on essential food items, my government also decided to reclassify essential good items that are exempt to zero rated. We will be working with the business community, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that VAT expense incurred relating to these exempt items that was previously recovered by the business through increased prices of non-price control items will be removed, and consumers will benefit from the price reduction. This also has implications for price reductions on additional goods and services. The government looks forward to the collaboration with the distributors and retailers to pass on the benefit of this reclassification of exempt good items to the consumers, or this will be reflected through a price control regime. What I'm saying is, Mr. Speaker, and you've heard it from the Honorable Prime Minister, that thus far, the business community has collaborated with us and are working with us. I want to take this moment to urge them to continue working with us, because we have put in place and we are strengthening our monitoring regime, Mr. Speaker. We are putting more officers on the ground to ensure that the benefits that we are now dealing with, the exemptions and so on, is passed on to the consumer. So I want to thank the business community for their cooperation thus far, and to urge them to continue working with us so that our consumers benefit. Mr. Speaker, what we are doing here today also has benefits not only for the consumer, but to the business community as well, especially in the area of exempt goods. Because now they have an opportunity. They have an opportunity where they can claim for the input VAT. So the government has targeted both the business community as well as the consumers in that particular resolution that is before us. So I'm saying, with that in mind, the business community has every reason to work with this government to ensure that our consumers get all the benefit that they're supposed to get. Our monitoring regime, Mr. Speaker, complaints and investigation officers supported by other staff of the Ministry of Commerce, including those in our Southern Division, were deployed island-wide from June 23rd to the 30th to collect baseline prices for the initial 70 items. The officers will be out on the field again from tomorrow, Friday, to obtain additional baseline data. Additionally, the CIF prices from the Customs and Excise Department are available to us at the Ministry of Commerce to ensure comprehensive price monitoring. Mr. Speaker, the 24 items at a price control, and that is both wholesale and retail, must be approved by the Consumer Affairs Department upon importation before the importer marks these goods available for sale. Continuous monitoring and data collection will take place once the policy measure comes into effect to ensure compliance. Some of the items, Mr. Speaker, that are price control: potatoes is price control, onions, garlic, lentils, tuna fish are some of the examples of the items that are included on the 24 items. Mr. Speaker, in consultation with the private sector, a further review of the price control list will be done, and any necessary amendments will be made by August 31st, 2025. Mr. Speaker, you've heard significant conversation on the benefits of the extension of the removal of VAT on building material. And the areas, the items include lumber, cement, galvanized, steel, and plywood, Mr. Speaker. And this was done through the enactment of statutory instrument number 92 and number 135 of 2023. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to report that these measures have yielded tangible results, and you've heard some of that from the Minister for Finance in his presentation. The retailers and suppliers of these items express strong support for the initiative. For example, dress-treated lumber measuring 2 by 10 by 20 was reduced from $155 to $145, a $10 savings on that particular post. On steel, Mr. Speaker, half-inch steel the item was reduced from $19.64 to $17.25. These reductions, Mr. Speaker, were welcome and appreciated by not only the contractors, but also by the people doing their little basic home repairs. We've seen it everywhere. Every parliamentarian would have had somebody coming into their office to say, I have started this house, I need assistance to help me finish it. And only last week, Mr. Speaker, in Soufrière alone, I assisted some 65 persons with building materials. As the rainy season is on, every house, everybody comes, the house is leaking. I need support for galvanists there, I need support for galvanists there. This measure touches the persons who can ill afford it, and it is welcomed by them, Mr. Speaker. And if you go on social media and hear the comments by those persons who have benefited from this particular intervention, it is one that has touched the lives of the small person, the medium person, the person at Cap Estate, the person at Redry Beach, the person at Barons Drive, the person at Fontaine-Jacques. These measures have touched the lives of every St. Lucian. And it is this government, and it is a manifestation of what this government means by putting the people of St. Lucia first. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, when I look at some of the other measures that we have taken, I am particularly pleased, Mr. Speaker, that we are extending this particular measure for a period August 2nd, 2025 to May 2026. Mr. Speaker, it represents a significant reduction of some 14% on the cost of building material, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, cement in particular, under head 25.3, is a price control item, and we have managed to keep that price down. In the area of lumber and plywood, under head 44.07 to 44.18, we have been able to keep prices down, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I close, I want to give you, through you, Mr. Speaker, the citizens of this country, the commitment that we at the Ministry of Commerce will continue to work with the National Consumers Association, with the retailers, with the wholesalers, to ensure that this tangible benefit that this government has presented by sacrificing and foregoing revenue of some over $5 million that is passed on to them, that this tangible evidence is showing that this government cares about our people. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I am pleased with the work that is happening within this government. I am pleased as the Minister for Commerce to have a Minister for Finance who continues to understand the plight of our people. And I want to remind St. Lucians that as we pay some $14 EC for a dozen of eggs in St. Lucia, the people in the United States are paying US $15. This, Mr. Speaker, is the work that this government is doing to ensure that we support our local persons. We continue, as I said the last time, our subsidy on rice, flour, and sugar is some $13.6 million. This is your government working for you, ensuring that we continue to put the people of St. Lucia first. I thank you.
Member for Castries South.
Mr. Speaker, I beg that this House be suspended until 2:30.
Honourable members, the question is that this House do stand suspended until 2:30 p.m. No. I now put the question. As many as of that opinion say aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Sitting suspended.
Nous venons au bout de la première session aujourd'hui. Aujourd'hui, on a discuté plusieurs différentes motions, enfin 3 motions, particulièrement motion à ce VAT. Cette motion VAT là, c'est pour tirer ça y est, VAT à chaque différentes marchandises qu'on gouvernement a dit pour baisser à ce prix pour faire la vie à plus qu'on y connaît plus bon marché avec la dernière chaque discussion nous on a fini ça c'est même parlement pour Soufouye qui aussi c'est ministre qui est responsable pour les affaires commerce et puis marchandises et puis comme ça il a fait une contribution à cette situation. Puis c'est vraiment le ministre qui est responsable. Avec qui a expliqué la manière dont il travaille et la manière dont il a Jean pays, ça c'est le peuple pays en chance pour les gouvernements qui ont tiré ça. Il a aussi fait un appel particulièrement pour particulièrement Jean business pour travail et puis comprendre ça le gouvernement qui a essayé de faire avec essayer de travail et puis le gouvernement pour faire la vie avec des prix à l'aise pour le monde en simplicité, pour baisser à ce prix ces marchandises là. Comme il dit, le gouvernement qui a fait tout ça et puis il y en a ces démarches là pour tirer VAT à son en chaille. Mais ça même là maintenant, ça prend prix en chaille marchandises qui Jean pays a servi.
Yes, that was one of the motions. We could perhaps say one of the most significant motions that was passed this morning, where the government has amended the value-added tax to remove the 12.5% on some construction materials and some food items. Now, the zero-rated status on those construction materials, we note starts on the 2nd day of August 2025, and it will end on the 31st day of May 2026. But during the discussion and the contribution, the Prime Minister clarified that the food items, the zero-rated status on the food items does not have a time frame, and so it would continue. As Michael pointed out, the Minister with responsibility for commerce, in her contribution, she went into great detail on the reasons why the government was doing that. She said that it was actually costing the government in excess of $5 million to remove the 12.5% VAT on some of these items. The Prime Minister also noted that it was the policies initially when they had also made similar amendments on the tax on construction materials. He said this had actually resulted, Michael, in a boost or a boom in the construction industry. The other motion which was approved was for the exemption of import duties on 2 vehicles by the logos. That was approved. The third motion was the third motion that was also approved was authorizing the Attorney General to make an order to declare that the 2023 supplement of the revised edition of the Laws of St. Lucia, which would be available in USB storage, that it would be declared an authoritative and authentic version of the law of St. Lucia. So this is it. This is what we've had, the 3 motions that were passed in the first session of today's sitting of Parliament this morning.
Ok, gwen avan nou ale, nou ka fè ou sav ki, yon nou se bala ki osi diskite jodi a ke pou an chay, jwen nou chay atensyon, sete statement pa 3 different ministres, se 3 moun, Premier Ministre lan, osi mam parlement pour Laboui, avec qui aussi c'est ministre qui est responsable pour les affaires étrangères, et aussi nous avons un rapport. Ce qui nous parlait à sous visite Premier ministre, président, excusez-moi, président Nigerian en simplicité, qui bail pays en chai l'orgueil, en chai croyance, et en chai bénéfice. Peut-être nous avons des inclises à ça. Et aussi pour un chai, nous avons un rapport, et bien un statement par membre parlement pour Sud-Cas, avec le ministre qui est responsable pour les affaires CIP, il y a un rapport à cette situation CIP. Et ça nous apprend, je dis en statement, c'est que le gouvernement en temps passé aussi par Nigeria. C'est pas c'était le ministre qui est responsable des affaires étrangères qui était dit comme que le gouvernement en temps passé était aussi invité Nigérian pour venir simplifier. Mais nous avons utilisé plus de détails à ce ça. Là, nous vient commencer la session qui a commencé à 2h30. Alors, nous avons dit, restez puis nous, à prendre déjeuner et nous avons dévié à 2h30 pour plus à ce qui a passé en Caille Conseil aujourd'hui.